What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros Podcast. All right, everyone. At the time of recording, we are recording this early, okay? But happy May the 4th.
Yeah.
May the 4th be with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars fans here, okay, but we got the ultimate Star Wars fans, even probably better than us. They probably know the lore a lot more.
Better, yeah.
We're more of the film bro side. Obviously, we like to look at things logically, and this is the way that we go about it. So we're Star Wars fans, but we know when
bullshit's bullshit.
When bullshit's bullshit. And then we also got Star Wars fans that love Star Wars no matter what. It could be bullshit or not. They're going to love it. And we got them on here regardless. Yeah. So we are going to have a quick chat with them. We're going to talk about some of the old stuff. Josh, Star Wars has been kind of like in a weird spot lately. So it's going to be good to kind of dive into this with our old friends here in a second. We do have them waiting. So we're going to try to make this work as a little bit faster as possible. But as Star Wars fans, before just to make sure that the Star Wars fans out there know that you're a Star Wars fan too, because I mean, there's no denying me. I got it tatted on me. I live, breathe Star Wars.
That's
Star Wars is my life. What about you as a Star Wars fan? Before we bring them in here,
I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have no tattoos yet, but I plan to get some somewhere down the line. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But I am a huge fan. I can't wait to see Episode 3 in theaters in April.
I vouch for him. So
for sure.
With that though, let's get Nikita and Winchie up in here. So, all right, Nikita, Winchie, if you guys can come back in. Welcome, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros Podcast. Thank you guys for showing up. We know that you guys have busy schedules, but you guys come through for us. We did talk last year. It's great to have another annual conversation. How are you guys, Nikita, Winchie?
I'm doing all right. I like that you call it an annual conversation as if we don't talk on Twitter. Come on.
Yeah, bro, yeah.
I'm talking about like I guess on
the air.
On the air, on my
Okay. I'll let you slide this time.
No. We have a great rapport with you guys. We respect your guys' opinions, even though some of them go to far lengths. You know what I'm saying? But we it's all love. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come through for us. And yeah, man. Any new endeavors in the Star Wars community on your side?
As in stuff we make, or just stuff as Star Wars in general?
Both.
Well,
I would say why not both?
I would say both.
Oh.
The Force Unscripted and I guess in the Star Wars community in general, because I know it's been a rough year for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. As far as the podcast goes, things are good. We've kind of changed some formatting for like the season. Okay. It's been really nice. Like we have a segment called Versus where we used to pick two characters beforehand, come in and just like record off the rip. Now our fact checker Brick 3PO, he has a sheet that pulls I believe 5 or 7 random stats, such as like battle IQ, mastery of the Force, that kind of thing. And we have to pick a character that would, be the best in all those categories, or try to best our opponent. So it's a really nice format. We've also brought another segment called Let's Talk Legends, where instead of kind of doing topics that are like relevant to what's going on in Disney and stuff, we just solely focus on like the Legends timeline and compare and contrast. And so that's where our expertise lies. So it's really nice to get to do a segment like that. As far as Star Wars stuff goes, definitely I enjoyed the Skeleton Crew. I know y'all are gonna give me shit for that one, but I'm also excited for Andor coming up, and then all that kind of stuff. So like the hype is there for this year. I feel
that's good. Okay, that's good. Right. Did you see Tales of the Underground? Right? Or whatever?
I did. I didn't get to respond to you guys' thread with John. Yeah. I forgot to reply to that stuff, but yeah, I'm excited because in the canon timeline, Cad Bane is my favorite bounty hunter. So I'm really excited to see what they introduced, because in Legends, Cad Bane doesn't have any books because he doesn't exist. So I really fell in love with the character. I like seeing him, in the Clone Wars. Even in Book of Boba Fett, though, I wasn't a biggest fan of that series. Yeah, I was still just he's one of those characters where like, even if I just get like a little taste of the sweat that drips from his balls, I'm happy.
the air that breathes through his pipes on the side of his cheek or whatever.
Exactly.
I do have that trailer loaded up too because I haven't personally seen it. I was kind of waiting so we can kind of all watch it together and kind of look into that in the future later down on in the episode. But so obviously we are gonna start diving deep into this. So last time we talked, we did do our rankings. We did our rankings for the Skywalker saga. This time we're gonna go ahead and talk about some Star Wars things that happened in the past year, what's going to be happening in the future. There's been a lot of green-lighting shows, a lot of green-lighting movies, and then them not coming into fruition, not so much. We do have change in leadership over there at Lucasfilm as well. But first, I kind of want to list off the shows that kind of came out in 2024. We did get season 3 of The Bad Batch that released early 2024. This was around the time we did our episodes. I believe the final episode wound up premiering on May the 4th of The Bad Batch, or it started.
What was that? I thought Tales of the Empire was May the 4th.
Oh, Tales of the Empire wound up coming out May the 4th. Oh, and and the
Bad Batch ended like the 9th or something.
The final episode of The Bad Batch came out May 1st. That was the final episode right before The Bad Batch here. Let me go ahead and share the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at as well.
God, we have a fact checker on our own show. We got a fact checker on this one. I love that for us.
Yes, this is what we're here for. So we did get that one on May the 1st. You guys can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right. And then we also got Tales of the Empire. That one wound up coming out May 4th on Star Wars Day last year of 2024. Then we go down the line. We wound up getting the Alkalite TV series, and that one came out, seems like around June?
Something like that.
June 4th. Wound up dropping June 4th, ended in July. And then the end of the year, to top everything off in December, we got Skeleton Crew. That was interesting stuff. So I kind of wanted to start off with the Bad Batch first. If we want to start with Winchy, because I know Winchy, and I know he likes to be opinionated about this stuff. But what do you think of season 3 of the Bad Batch, Winchy?
Huh? Yeah. It could have been better.
Okay.
I mean, the ending. I loved the Republic Commandos in Legends, so I thought it was cool that my boy Scorch was in there, but then they did him real dirty at the end. And the rest of the season was similar to the rest. I thought seeing Ventress was cool.
Baddie.
Hell yeah.
How'd you guys feel about them changing her, I guess her book?
From the book ending to not being canon, something like that? I don't know, there was like a large discourse
I
about
believe
it.
she had died by the end of
that book, Dark Disciple, something like that?
Yeah, but then they confirmed that she's alive. I'd seen that was kind of like an issue when it first came out as well.
I thought it was more like presumed dead. I haven't actually read that one because that's a newer one.
Yeah, it's her and
From Boss.
That fool. Yes.
Yeah, I thought she was presumed dead, but not actually like 100% confirmed. And then it was confirmed that she wasn't in the show.
I figured we were gonna see something like that somewhere down the line. So in Tales of the Underworld, I imagine we're gonna see something like that.
Probably they'll probably touch up on it. I think I seen like some clips that she was gonna be a part of that show as well, and all that stuff.
I haven't actually seen that trailer, so when we watch it, it'll be the first time for me as well.
All right,
perfect. Cool. Like to hear it. Nikita, what do you think about season 3 of The Bad Batch?
We were talking about it with you guys before it came out, and I can't remember. I think it was JP who said it. Like, it should have been like season 3 should have been like all gas, no brakes, and like I was hoping that like maybe the first half was just like gonna be build up for the all gas no brakes at the end, but I never got the gas. Like it wasn't there. So I can't remember who said it. I can't remember if it was JP or Josh.
I feel like that
So
was something I would have said, but
most likely.
that's exactly how I kind of felt, especially when we were getting like in episode 7 the inclusion of like Wolf, and like we're getting all kinds of like these clones and this build up. And I mean, by the end of it, was I satisfied? I guess, but it still felt like it was kind of like a cliffhanger ending. Like there was still more in store, which I'm assuming they're gonna want to touch up on like in different Star Wars shows now, because I think even they said what didn't make it onto the Clone Wars, they basically pushed that into Rebels. So whatever doesn't make it into a certain show, I'm assuming they're gonna just recycle that and put it into a different show eventually. So I mean, if there's strings still left, and I mean, this show was supposed to, a lot of people were saying that this show was supposed to bridge the gap and kind of tell you how Moff Gideon is getting, you know, his clones, and how Snoke was able to be cloned and all this and that. Like, we were supposed to get some deep stuff out of this season that I felt we just did not get at all.
Short, really.
Yeah, like the Project Necromancer, like it's just everything's going to the Death Star now. Like we learned nothing about that shit. I was so mad. Like, what was the purpose of the whole M count shit? Like, why bring midichlorians into it if you're not gonna develop on like what it was for? Like, I was one of those people who was hoping that it would like make some of the sequel trilogy make a lot more sense. You know, like you mentioned Snoke and Palpatine returning, like that kind of shit. Because like you hear Necromancer and you're like, oh yeah, this has got to be the shit that Palpatine was like was on with when coming back in Episode 9. But like, nah, they just didn't give us anything. They didn't deliver on any closure
at all. And which
I had more questions coming out of season 3 than I did going in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Wasn't Project Necromancer one of the data files in Rogue?
in Rogue One? Yeah, they said that it was like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Like she was going through the data banks and it wound up popping up.
Yeah, the first time we hear
so the
about
data was there and it was stored on Scarif at the very least. So it wasn't just
but Scarif
like, totally
had everything.
wiped.
It was a repository.
Right. But I mean, it wasn't just like completely demolished. It was just defunded by.
Well,
Tarkin.
it was defunded and disbanded.
Defunded, yeah. That was basically the whole thing that I got from that project. It was like it was thriving because they got what they wanted, and then as soon as they didn't get what they want or they were close to it or whatever, and it just felt like a failure, they just defunded it and moved it on to
Project Stardust.
Yeah. So like by the end of it, I'm just like, okay, so this was just a failed project. So even if it is sitting on a data bank in Scarif, it's just it's
nothing
pointless.
Happened. You kind of showed us something for nothing to happen.
And we got to be honest. Like
I think
we shouldn't have been looking for that in a Bad Batch show either. I wouldn't have suspected, right?
Well, yeah. What I was expecting.
Well,
from
okay.
Bad Batch show, or was something a little different.
Was that when she?
The thing at the very end with Tarkin, when he pulls up and like is like, okay, shut everything down. Tarkin wasn't really with Palpatine when Palpatine was working with the mad scientist guy. I forget his name. And I'm pretty sure Palps was keeping the like details of the project secret from even Tarkin, right?
Yeah,
so like
all the people up top had to be.
Tarkin is assuming he's just trying to make force sensitive clones, and so he's like, screw this, the project is, just wasting money, not thinking that Palpatine is trying to reincarnate himself. And so then Palpatine has to turn to other less like public eye, by public I mean Tarkin view projects.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's what it was showing, not necessarily that they just like gave up on it. It was more that the Emperor and Tarkin were not sharing everything with each other.
But that's the weird part too, right? Because you could tell that that's what Palpatine wanted. He wanted certain things to be kept secret and to basically, where I'm moving the money, don't worry about it. Just worry about your own stuff. So maybe that's just a plot hole that I kind of picked up in this season, on that season too. But it was like, wouldn't it have been more fruitful if you would have just told all your lieutenants about your secret projects. Like, you would have been able to probably capture these people a long time ago. But like, I understand keeping it secret for that's why, like, if you're keeping it secret for the purposes of like trying to build on something, you should have kept it secret and then it succeed, not keep it secret and then just be like, well, it was vaulted for a reason.
Well, you did see it succeed. I mean, he still made Snoke and all them. For somewhere along the way.
No. Somehow Palpatine returned.
That's how it happened. We know that's what happened.
Somehow.
So essentially, if they hadn't blown the whole place up and broadcast the location essentially everywhere, it still would have remained hidden. But once it was discovered as a secret base by Tarkin, Palpatine can't just come out and say, I'm trying to resurrect myself.
He's just gonna be like, "Oh, those are rogue people. They're not part of it."
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to, give that up. So he's given Tarkin kind of control of a lot of the things in the Empire.
And remember, a lot of it is to remember, like, Darth Vader had no idea what was happening. So if you do things on a grander scale, then you have to be like, what the fuck was Vader doing this whole time then? That all this other shit was happening, you know?
Well, he was supposed to be out there wiping off the rest of the Jedi, right?
Well, yeah, but you still got to be in the loop. That's your fucking guy. You don't think you're going to hear that your master's trying to save himself from death? Like, you'd hear that about that.
I feel like
that's exactly why he has to keep it secret. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So he would keep it a secret from Vader.
I think when you take the job of, like, being a Sith, you kind of expect to be unemployed eventually, decapitated by your protege at one point.
Well, yeah, that's why he was preparing for it. He was preparing for that.
Like, you're not gonna
No. He was preparing to live forever because he was disappointed in Vader as an apprentice.
Yeah.
So he definitely didn't want Vader to find out, because then Vader would have definitely tried to kill him.
Yeah. So he had to keep it secret as much as possible. I mean, like I said, that's all lore stuff, but I guess we can all say show-wise season 3 it wasn't.
Like, we're connecting the dots ourselves. What the show should have done is literally lay out the plan for everything. They should have just laid it out. But there was a lot of filler. Like I said,
that was my thing about the show. Like, why have filler on a show that literally has limited episodes?
Right? That's what I would think. Or, like I said, I think the Bad Batch should have been about them literally helping Rex and the survival clones or whatever to find themselves sanctuary, not just themselves. You know, that's my thing. So when you see Rex,
turn some of them away from the Empire.
Yeah, when you see Rex, when you see Cody and all these, you have to assume that they all met up at some point. But I would prefer them working with Rex and them to, like, rescue more clones and stuff.
We never saw Cody again either. That was stupid.
That's why you have to assume he made it to Rex. There was just a lot of, like, oh, here's this famous clone. Well, you have to assume they made it, you know?
Who would have thought putting in the word somehow Palpatine return would, like, cause all these headaches? That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like everyone could have gathered that one.
That one was, I mean, I know what everybody says. They're like, well, they put, like, the cloning tubes in front of the movie. You should have gotten the hint or whatever. But I'm like, we get it. But how did you do that? Like, we understand, but, like, but how? You know,
there's no cloning happen, bro. You don't need to know all that extra stuff. Wait for outside.
Well, you do, especially when, like, you're literally touching up on an original trilogy.
I can't keep hearing this argument with you, bro.
I'm just saying.
We're here
bro.
to talk about these gay ass shows.
I'm just saying, bro.
We're here to talk about these lame ass shows. If it leaks
that way, we're diving in.
It's not. Happens. You started talking your shit. Like we can't keep having. It's one line. You gotta let it go. Goddamn.
That line has caused so many.
Okay,
problems.
and who's Darth Tyrannus? Like, shut up.
Like, damn. We found that out in the Clone Wars.
Exactly. Not in the movie. So shut up.
And not in a filler episode either. They dedicated.
Who cares?
Episodes.
Who cares? Who cares?
The fans.
Shut up. No.
What
fans?
Moving on. Yes. So the Bad Batch season 3 wasn't really, I guess, the spiciest thing. But the next thing that came in line was the Tales of an Empire. And let me just start this one off when I say this felt like not what I wanted at all whatsoever. There was cool moments, cool little things that happened within this little series. I do think Tales of a Jedi was like superb. So coming to Tales of an Empire and basically getting, oh look, they weren't bad, they're actually good. It's like not what I wanted, not what I expected, and really just kind of threw me. Cool moments though. I kind of enjoyed
the animation
some of the stuff,
was just really crisp.
Animation was nice. They really perfected the animation in that show, which kind of like makes you wonder, why didn't you guys do more? You guys should be doing more, but
yeah,
they limited to these little Tales of an Empire thing. I'm hoping we get something else in the same vein of like the Clone Wars or like the Bad Batch or something like that, but I don't know. I'm losing, I guess, as a Star Wars fan, I'm kind of losing hope on like what Disney can do with this property at this point. Yeah. So, yeah. Do you kind of share my sentiment though?
I mean, kind of like, I don't know. I don't care about these characters enough in Tales of an Empire to be like they deserve their own show. You know what I mean?
See, that's it right there. That's the point. That's what I didn't like about Tales of the Empire. I feel like they picked the wrong fucking characters. There's so many books like that are out that are specifically like about the relationship between like Thrawn and Vader, and I would have loved if like they had just done like, you know, 1 or 2 episodes of like that relationship right there, because those are characters that are very integral to the Empire, both, you know, pre and post Palpatine, or like during and post Palpatine, like. And I feel like that would have been better. I enjoyed like the Barriss, like the Barriss stuff was okay, but the fucking Morgan Elsbeth shit, like I could have done without that. Yeah. Like
I think
that's like tales of like the dark side, not the Empire.
Tales of like the Inquisitors or something. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Like they deserve their own little, like, I'm not saying they don't deserve their own stuff, but Empire, when you think of that, you think of like Vaders or Stormtroopers or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I was expecting a little bit more oomph, but they chose characters that, to be fair, I don't really give a fuck how Morgan Elsbeth came to power and took over that town. I thought she was a one-off in Ahsoka and Mando season 2, and then Barriss, I deadass thought they shot her ass up. I thought she was dead. So the fact that we got 2 stories about these 2 characters that I didn't really care about, I was like, okay, the animation's cool. I'm here for that. General Grievous fucking shit up. I'm here for that too. But everything else, it was like, ugh, I don't care about any of their stories.
I liked Barriss' story up until like she became good. That's and
see, I also like. Well, see, okay, I was okay with that part because I really liked Barriss' story in the Legends timeline in the MedStar books. And so I was happy that like the way that they ended her story was kind of true to her being like just like an overall badass Jedi healer. So like I was kind of okay with it. Like I was willing to accept that, but I still feel like that I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't warranted the way they went about the story. Like if they were gonna do something with the Inquisitors, I feel like it shouldn't have been about Barriss. It should have been like the Grand Inquisitor and Vader or something like that.
Yeah,
you probably focus on more known characters. I mean,
exactly.
Is the approach of them trying to expand the Star Wars universe by shining the light on these lesser characters? Like the problem?
I think that you should leave. I think you should leave books to that, to expand lesser characters at least. Like give the like flushed out characters like their light in these small series, because they are small, like, you know, like one-offs for the moment.
Yeah.
And like I feel like developing like a side character that like, oh, you were like, oh, I remember them for these couple episodes, you know, like, and it's cool to get like some information, but like don't make it the main focus. Like if you're gonna throw Barriss into a story about it, make the story center around, you know, like say Vader and the Grand Inquisitor, and then be like, you know, throw Barriss in there like a little sprinkle over and be like, oh yeah, I remember her, you know, like give the main characters their time to shine in these small fucking series.
I think that one of the shining points when that Barriss episode was coming out was like that there was tension because of what happened between Barriss and Anakin, obviously, in those episodes, the betrayal and whatnot. That there was going to be some kind of tension between Darth Vader and her because of the fact that she's trying to, you know, or they're making her try out to be an Inquisitor and all that stuff. So I thought it was going to go a different way, but it just like they kind of gave you that tension in the trailer and then no more. It was kind of gone after that.
For sure, yeah.
That was another thing that kind of ruined it for that whole like Barriss episode. But I was kind of
like even in Tales of the Jedi, you know what I mean? Like when you got a story about Dooku and how he turned, and then about Ahsoka and how she learned to survive Order 66, that felt a lot more crucial than these two stories.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and then they did the thing where they did do like a thing with a lesser character, but it wasn't like a huge part of that entire series, like the Yaddle inclusion. Like that's how they should have done Barriss and Tales of the Empire.
Exactly. She probably should have bit the dust. I don't know.
Well, she did.
I
don't know. When she, you're kind of quiet over there. Do you share Nikida's statements, or are you like on board with the Tales of the Empire show?
No, I'm in agreement with Nikida's statements. I wasn't invested at all in the characters.
Okay.
There was not enough of like any of them that I cared about prior to the show, and then I still didn't care about them after the show.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's like, I don't know. That's just my thing. I was like, do I really care for Morgan and her relationship with Thrawn? Like, no, not really. I thought she was a one-off. I thought she was just here and then gone. You know what I mean? Like, that was it.
But if you make it Thrawn and Vader, then you're like, I'm invested.
Yeah, because you know that there's history between them, and they eventually cross paths multiple times. And
if you would have made it about Moff Gideon, I would have understood that too.
Oh yeah, kind of.
Yep.
How he kind of led up to the Mandalorian season would have been crazy.
How he got the fucking Darksaber.
Oh yeah, how he got the Darksaber would have been cool.
It's one of those things with this series. It's like, I'm consuming it because it's Star Wars, but I will not reconsume it because I enjoy it.
Same.
Yeah. So okay. So we'll touch back up on this when we get to the actual like trailer for the Underground one. But like, there's a big difference between these two things, I feel.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, I do remember Tales of a Jedi. I do think that one was way better. We did focus around Count Dooku, Ahsoka. Who else in that one?
Dooku.
It was Dooku and Ahsoka mostly.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we
got
touched
a bit
up
of
on them too.
got a bit of Qui-Gon in there. Like they said Yaddle.
Oh, Yaddle too. Yeah, we had Yaddle in that one as well. So, I mean, we did have these like intriguing. Even like Yaddle kind of went out like a badass too. And I don't know, when it came down to Tales of an Empire, it kind of made me a little sad. About it.
I will say she doesn't go out as badass as she did in Legends. She basically kind of absorbs a nuke.
Goddamn.
Oh, well.
It's a little more tragic, actually. Yeah, to save Anakin, she takes the nuke because she believes in him as the chosen one, and and this is how he repays her. Yeah, it's way more tragic.
Being a Force Ghost and being like, damn, he failed? I died for him? Like,
he did what?
He did what to the children?
Oh, no.
Everyone looking around you like, first time? No.
He's just sending Force Ghosts up expeditiously. They're just like, oh my god, what's going on here? It's so bad. It's so bad. Moving on, though, we did get the Acolyte as well. This is the one where I'm like desperately wanting to hear your guys. The other two, I was like, okay, well, you know, the Force
animated
Unscripted
projects, who cares?
Yeah, but the Acolyte, this is where it gets, to me, this is where it's gonna get down. So let's start with the Force Unscripted. Obviously, the Acolyte was kind of rocky when it was airing. I'm sure you guys heard the online discourse yourself, coming from the script to the visuals to the Star Wars lore was completely torn, according to some people.
What do you guys think?
What do you guys think about that?
So, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I think you guys have seen some of the shit that I've posted on Twitter, and like, I don't think that the Acolyte was given the accolades that it deserves for like what it did or what it was trying to do for Star Wars. Like, ignore all the shit about people saying it's the gayest, Star Wars thing or whatever.
That's what the creator
did
said.
A lot. I mean, okay, yes, I understand, but that's like saying JP is the gayest one of us here, but he wouldn't go throat Winchy, right?
We've never made that statement.
Like it's the gayest because like there's more representation, there's mostly like female leads and like sure, but like I don't think any Star Wars fan out there who's read the books saw the fucking the witches like from Dathomir and were like, yeah, they're lesbians. Like, no, because like there were, matriarchal like force sensitive users on Dathomir who were leading like the planet for the most part. Like, I didn't see that and think lesbians. Like, sure, there's implications that you can make, whatever, but like, is that so bad, really? Like, get over it. It existed like 20, 30 years ago, and now that it's in Star Wars media, you're mad about it. I think that the stuff that they could have played on with like the lore and the plot itself maybe could have been a little bit more cohesive, but like it was the first season and it wasn't allowed no one gave it time to cook like for a second season. Like, I think that there's a whole bunch of like these little nuances, idiosyncrasies that you can pick up that are hints to like the Star Wars fans who've been long time, and also like the people who are just getting into Star Wars. I think that there was a lot of good in this series, and like it wasn't perfect. Like, and no Star Wars series that Disney has put out has been perfect, but I think that this is probably the most underrated thing that Disney has ever put out that deserves way more praise than what it's got and what it's ever going to get.
Oof. It's tough shit, man.
Okay. Wenchi, before I ask questions, Wenchi, do you agree with Nikita?
I don't know about most underrated, but I agree with the majority of what he said.
Okay. What do you guys think about the whole Kiadi Mundi situation, lore-wise?
What about it?
The lore, I guess people saying that putting Kiadi
about
Mundi
him
in
not
there,
knowing that the Sith were back.
Yeah, that
like
basically
that part.
he's an asshole for keeping his mouth shut this whole time, knowing damn well what was about to happen.
Yeah.
But he didn't learn about it. He didn't learn about it. Nowhere in the show did he learn about it.
I'm trying to remember.
He learned that he learned that there were Jedi dead. They never once told him that there were Sith around. You never once see him be told that there were Sith.
They brought it up at the round table. They didn't explicitly say that it was a Sith. They were saying that
Correct.
it could be linked or whatever, which that was enough for people to say, well, he had knowledge that there was some kind of Sith presence out there.
But his statement was still true, because I think it was the Sith have not been seen for 1,000 years or something like that. I mean, that's still he wasn't technically lying.
I guess he didn't lay his eyes on it. So he could have been like, well, I did hear this one thing this one time, but it wasn't really like a big.
But is that something?
but that, I know George.
Yeah, you hear a briefing about a couple guys dying, like you don't just immediately assume, oh my god, it's the long forgotten Sith who have come back now and are here to, take over the universe. No, it's there's some rogue element.
This is where I gotta give that pushback. These are Jedi at the height of their power. They don't just die to anybody. You just don't die to anybody at the height of your power.
Yeah.
So that should be cause for alarm. Like, you guys are ruling shit. Nobody has touched you guys in years, and now a group of your gang got touched, and you're not gonna go.
But I mean, this no.
Hold on. So you haven't read any of the High Republic books? Like, they've been getting fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to. I was like,
oh, so the Disney stuff, the new stuff that they put out, they've been in those books. They've been getting their ass beat.
And those books are really, really good.
But like,
there's
how do you power? How do you?
But like the Jedi,
jazz beat?
Okay. So from the Acolyte, you can gather that the Jedi know that there are other Force-sensitive groups out there. They've got to know that there's a Force-sensitive group out there that opposes them, that could possibly have some trick to take them down. I don't think that... Yeah, I mean, but there's other ones outside of them, too. Like, I don't think that their immediate draw is going to be like, what? I think it was maybe 10 Jedi died. Like, yeah, it's an abnormality, but Jedi aren't invincible. They can die. Like, you could snipe one. Like, unless the Force is with them, they're not necessarily going to survive it. They're not.
But that's the thing, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Should that have happened? Like, doesn't that question it a bit? At the height of your power, you're telling me you're getting pushed by random people? That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's why they were at the height of their power, because they've been fighting for so many years. They've been building up that strength.
They should
That's
be
why
more skilled than to let a sword.
No,
like...
that's why later on in the Clone Wars, when they've had 500 years of freaking peace or whatever, they're weak and quote unquote dying out. And then
they
did
were dying out more of like as a religion piece. Like people aren't interested in what they got to sell anymore.
I'm just saying,
That's both.
If I hear that my gang got shish kebab, that's not an easy occurrence. Like, you're not at the height of your power if you got shish kebab, my boy. That's not. There's no way. Like,
Not necessarily true. You can lose a lot of battles and still win the war.
But that's
Look,
the thing, though.
Okay. Here's the thing, right? Okay. Mandalorians carry slug rounds for their guns,
right?
Because they go through lightsabers and just shred a Jedi. One bullet, it doesn't, like, they try to block it, that bullet's going through. That's an easy kill on a Jedi, right? So, like, if I can do it with one bullet, there are plenty of other things that could do it.
no, yeah, okay. Well, they're not impervious. You have Mandalorians. They're prepped to fight Jedi.
Yeah.
They are literally, like, they've been doing that
Anybody
for
with
years.
one of the, like, anybody with a slug
But
could
I'm saying,
do it.
like, I'm saying,
A
like,
shotgun?
Okay, let me. I brought it up a little bit. I know I did it kind of as a joke, but let's just talk about Carrie Ann Moss's character. You know, in the beginning, the first episode, she wound up getting stabbed by a tiny knife by a force-sensitive person who doesn't really have a lot of training. Does that say, hey, we're at the height of our power?
That says susceptible
Look, she
to
has
flaws
training.
living things
One.
are.
She's been training since she
But
was
also,
like 8.
everyone, like, there's that quote, like, the absolute power corrupts absolutely. At the height of your power, would you not agree that your hubris is also probably at peak as well?
Well,
which
yeah.
leaves more room for folly.
Well, yeah, you would obviously, you're the biggest, toughest person around. You don't expect anybody to push on you. And that's why I was kind of like, that's where I was giving the show a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But then, you got taken out, like, a whole squad of them got taken out by one dude. And as much as I want to let a couple of them go, because it's like, okay, some of them can probably bite the dust, they kind of shredded through a few people. So
I mean, even then, I know that the green chick like hid the power, or not the power, the news from everybody or whatever. Keep it secret and whatnot. But like, come on, you gonna see that, you're gonna be like, these bodies have lightsaber shaped holes in them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
She knows. She's one of the, like, cameos from the books. She's a book character.
Okay.
So she has a whole backstory and everything, and
that includes with the stranger or whatever his name is, Kumir.
Yeah, that's her old
Future-
apprentice.
Yeah,
I thought so. I figured that.
Yeah,
she
well,
whipped his ass,
that's
I'm pretty sure.
and that's another thing.
That's
Another thing that I'm sad that they left out, because, like, he's a fucking Shoto user, and you learn in the Legends timeline that the only way to combat a light whip is with a Shoto saber. His master has a fucking light whip. He had a Shoto saber. Like, this show had so much potential for so many things, and it was not given a chance.
Oh, because that's
You couldn't tell me you wouldn't want to see a fight between Kamir and Venestra, light whip versus a dude with a Shoto saber. Like, that sounds cool as fuck. You also have the same.
I mean, I would say it sounds badass, but the story needs to be there in order to kind of, like, make you want that.
Yeah, you're not gonna woo me with, like, these small little things.
Like,
I mean, she's a Jedi high up. He has a Jedi hate boner. Like, you got the same guy doing the choreography from episode 3. Like, I mean, I can forgive plot holes for a good ass fucking fight with a whip. Okay.
You're okay with flashy stuff in service of instead of a story. But
in
like,
that one case, in the case of the fight, absolutely.
Okay, what about because I did touch up on Keanu Mundi. What about the whole Plagueis thing?
What about it?
I love the fucking Plagueis cameo. What do you want me to say about that?
Well, I mean, that's.
I don't think it wasn't given time to cook. Like, this is one scene. How many shows have? I mean, okay, never mind. I don't want to say that because you guys are film bros, and I'm gonna get fucking roasted.
I know we're jumping all over the place, but I'm trying to figure out, like,
where's the line.
These are the people that talk about lore and canon.
Yeah. We need
Plagueis being there. rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Keanu Mundi knowing at least
Because they don't know that.
You know what? A lot of people would even argue that you shouldn't have even put Keanu Mundi in that room.
Why not?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why even have started all this headache in the first place and just put some random nobody who's gonna die anyways?
Because you're trying to create ties to stuff that you know, and you're not given enough time to do it.
Exactly. But then imagine that person dies, and then Keanu Mundi replaces them, and he's like, "Hey, I wonder why the seat is open," and they're just like, I don't know.
You don't know nothing.
Yeah,
you won't know nothing for about 100 years.
Yeah, we don't know shit. We don't know nothing.
There were also a lot more masters in that time period. It wasn't as closed off as it was later on. So a master is a dime a dozen during the High Republic Cup because they're dying left and right.
I will say, as on our side, this show was fun when it came down to certain moments, but the story and the writers were a bunch of baboons that it just didn't translate to screen properly.
No.
So all these things that I'm talking about, and the reason why, in my opinion, the show didn't get a chance is because the story and the dialogue was dog shit. And though you want to add, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Keanu Mundi, you might not think that it's a continuity error. I personally at first didn't think so either. That was where my head jumped off to, was like, he didn't know everything. But you guys added him there, and that leaves
room for
speculation, doubt. Like, why wouldn't he have known? How couldn't he have known? He's a part of it. Plagueis being a part of it kind of tore some people in half too. We had good lore that was ruined by bad writing, and that's why I think the show didn't succeed.
Yeah, I would say.
Like, outside of that Keanu Mundi thing, like, what else is so bad about the plot and the writing?
I'm so glad you asked.
I got actually a list right here. It rolls out the door if you want to know everything.
Okay. I guess we'll start.
Okay, give me the top ones.
Okay.
You know,
we'll start with the big ones, right? The way the Jedis were dying, right? So not just what's her name, Kian Moss, whatever her name was,
Her character.
Yeah. But the rest of them that were tied to Soul and that whole incident, right? Dude, one of them drank poison because he felt guilty or whatever. I'll never understand. One of them, the Wookiee that they say was so badass, we didn't even get to see him put up a fight against Quamir. Like, I don't know. The way they were going out didn't make much sense. And like I said, we've said it before when we covered it in the Acolyte. I'm not going to get too much into detail. But the twins, too. Like, the way I forget their names, but the way one of them was like, I don't want to be bad anymore. And then goes right to being bad. It's kind of like, well, what happened there?
Yeah. And then she gave herself a haircut and was like, "Oh yeah, now I'm gonna be his apprentice." And as a master Force user, I would assume you would be able to sniff out that your apprentice isn't your apprentice, even though they look the same. I mean, that's just,
you'd be able to feel something like that, right?
I would think so. Like, and no, they were kind of figured out by the gerbil.
The way Soul just. I can kind of feel bad for Soul. I think he was the only badass around, but I mean, they were giving him shit for stabbing the mother who just turned into a Force ghost right in front of him. I probably would have done the same thing.
Blaming the kid going into a Force coma for years for being traumatized by these witches that were trying to play victim.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And be like, holy shit, we weren't trying to kill homeboy.
Yeah.
After doing all that, like, it's just poor writing. There was a lot of poor writing and poor decisions that were made with the show that it just scratches your head. Like, why'd you do that?
Like, I would have liked the lore and all that stuff behind it, but like you said, there's the writing and everything like that. It's hard to get behind, and especially when like outside sources, these motherfuckers are being crazy outside of the show.
Yeah, calling it the gayest show ever doesn't make you really want to,
watch. You know what I mean? Like, is that like that's the weird thing? And like I don't know. A lot of people are hyping up these moments, and I'm like, Quamir had a cool moment. His helmet was cool for sure, and then him and Soul duke it out, and it's like that's barely anything because the lightsabers themselves look like ass too.
Yeah, it was cool when he was able to shut it down.
So the lightsabers are accurate to the time period. That's how big they were in those books. The power sources at the time were larger. Yeah, they look like Dookie because they're actually book accurate.
Yeah, they were more clunky back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
just feel
It's
like
because of larger. They had to have larger power sources. They got more advanced over time and slimmer.
Okay.
But yeah,
I still feel I feel like this series is definitely one that's more enjoyed by people who know more details about like the background, the lore, especially for like reading, you know, like not even just the canon books, but especially if you read both timelines, like I feel like this series is more geared towards them. And I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's why it's not as appreciated by some of the newer Star Wars fans or like the dude bro Star Wars fans. And and you know, like I see the points that they make. I think they're dumb, but I feel like it's not a bad thing to have released something that the older, more accepting and more like universe literature, you know, knowledgeable have a series for them. And I feel like that's kind of the target audience for this.
that no.
Well, I'm not too sure about that either. Because
The target audience for this show was
No, okay, when I say target audience, I don't necessarily mean intended target audience, but who the audience it ended up being for was.
I mean, I could get that, I guess, because the ones that are into the lore and stuff, they're gonna look at everything and be like, "Wow, this was really a gem." But you got to understand that these shows shouldn't be built for these things either. You know,
But why can't they?
What do you mean? Why can't they? Because
You can have if you have so many for the people who aren't into the universe, why can't you have the one that's for the people in the universe? So like
want people that are gonna want to watch whatever. You know.
But it was still the most viewed thing on fucking Disney Plus for that, like for its airing time. Like it was the most viewed thing. Even if people hate it, it was still the most fucking viewed thing.
That's fair.
By a decent margin.
Disney Plus has the lowest viewership compared to Max, Peacock, Hulu.
But still, as a platform, like everyone knows, if you want to watch Star Wars, you know you got to go to Disney. To say that on Disney it was still the most viewed thing is still impressive in its own right.
Well, oh yeah, okay. Well, cause
you stuck because I'm right.
No, because I'm trying to explain it to you in viewership terms. The viewership that you saw was a tiny fraction compared to how many people are out there.
And it dropped by the fifth episode.
By the fifth episode,
but
it dropped.
But it was still the most.
The finale happened.
When the finale happened, it picked up because of the Plagueis thing. But for the
but
most
it was
part,
still the most.
Why
does that matter?
It didn't make the Nelson charts
because it fluctuates.
Disney has a habit of patting themselves on the back and then sending that out to news outlets to be like, "Hey guys, they are really doing good." But they manipulate stuff to make it sound like they're winning. They're not really winning. Alkalite had one of the poorest Star Wars viewerships, and that's saying something because a lot more people tuned in to watch Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, over the Alkalite. And then if you look at it, Skeleton Crew got less viewership than the Alkalite.
Probably because of the Alkalite.
Because the Alkalite rubbed people the wrong way. So though it was the most viewed thing, I think for the first 3 days when it premiered, it dropped off significantly and not a lot of people watched it. It was a tiny fraction of people that actually really watched this episode through and through. And I want to really honestly believe it was either diehard Star Wars fans or YouTubers that were making content.
Yeah, the ones that watched just to be like, "Oh, this fucking sucks" every week.
Yeah, like those people were tuning in and hate watching the shit out of it. So
you know who I'm talking about.
I mean,
don't let me say his name. No.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but at the same time, on the grander scale, it wasn't that big of a viewership.
It's like a pond.
Yeah,
you're gonna be the biggest fish in the pond.
Mm-hmm. It made a lot of noise, but for the wrong reasons too. A lot of people were, like I said, they were digging in for the lore. Sources. The writing was not that good. You had people that were digging in it for the visuals. You had people that were digging in it just for the grift of it. Sometimes they were just like, "Oh, Star Wars, women." Like that's basically what they were jumping to. So there was a lot going against this show, especially basically coming off of what it's been doing, Mandalorian season 3, Boba Fett, like all these shows haven't been helping it out, and then the Alkalite coming out and basically dubbing it as one of the most faithful Star Wars shows, like how you were saying, like lore wise and everything, like really fleshing it out for some people. A lot of the people that are into the lore and a lot of older people that are into the OG trilogy hated this shit because of the fact that they were tearing into certain things that Disney had no business touching.
Can you really say that Disney has no business touching any of it because they own it?
I don't say that. That's what they say because, they, like I said, people can argue and say, well, why'd you even get Keanu Mundi? Why would you put him in that situation in the first place? Like I said, why didn't you? This is just my own little thing. You could have easily let one of those characters die, and then slide Keanu Mundi right after that, and be like, well, he was the replacement, so obviously he didn't know. But that's how like the secrets were kind of created within the Jedi Temple that kind of expanded over years, and boom, that's what led up to the events or whatever. Blah blah blah. The fact that you guys put him in there and didn't give him the right plausible deniability left enough for people to speculate and be like, well, you guys ruined it.
That's distasteful. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what happened with that was the same kind of discourse when Obi-Wan Kenobi happened, the show, when they were like, well, how could he forget? How could Luke forget about not seeing, an Inquisitor chase after him and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm. Oh, because he didn't look back and it was dark.
Yeah, see? So, like, now you open the gates to these things where people who will grift or whatever will be like, well, this doesn't make much sense because canon says otherwise. You know what I mean? Even though in the comics, I'm pretty sure Vader and Luke have crossed paths multiple times, and he knows he's his son way before he tells him he's his father. You know what I mean? So a lot of that stuff comes up to Disney's own shooting of the foot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they want lore characters to bring the Star Wars fans in that are into the lore, but then get shit writers to put it together, and then by the time it translates out to the public, it's not a good project. I think that's what hurt the project the most.
All right, well, if it's a bad project and trash, then I just love bad projects and trash. I'm okay with that. I talk about fucking huts every other episode, so clearly my standards are not as high as yours.
No, well, that's not the
takeaway.
That's not the takeaway of what I'm saying. Because
you can like it for what it is, and I mean, on our technical scale, I mean, it's gonna be a lot less because we look at all these things, and if you can excuse for the lore and plot and or whatever how you feel,
and you
that's
like
cool.
it, that's cool.
We're not gonna
we
take that away
it.
from you. It's just for the sake of conversation, you gotta understand that on a technical side, outside of the lore that you appreciate, it didn't deliver much on dialogue or story.
Yeah.
See, my mind is just not. I can't separate it like you guys can. I'm too engrossed into. I know, and I understand that. Like, I can definitely, I absolutely 110% like hear you guys say what you're saying, but like when I give my take, I can't separate. I just can't. My brain can't separate the two, and so like. This is one of those ones that like it scratched my autism brain the right way, and I'm willing to die on a hill for it every time.
It's okay, man.
I can't not want to throw hands for this series.
I like I said, this one was kind of like, for at least in my opinion, because I am a Star Wars fan and I love all this stuff that comes out. As somebody who was excited for the Acolyte to drop, and though there was tiny little nuggets like Soul fighting the Wookiee was cool. Yeah. Like Soul versus the Masked Stranger was cool. There were certain elements that were nice, but other things bogged it down, in my opinion. That just it was hard. It was it was hard to to follow through all the way, and so I would assume, Nikita and Winchie, that you guys are kind of disappointed that it wasn't greenlit for a second season. That it was actually kind of canceled.
Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, especially with like I said. And one of the things too is like I know a lot of people like to just point fingers at Disney and all that stuff. And Disney is one of the big reasons why a lot of this stuff is happening, but a good reason why we bring you guys on as well is to kind of see the perspective of a Star Wars, obviously a diehard Star Wars fan that doesn't look at the numbers and all that stuff. That's why we talk to you guys about this stuff. So we don't want you to be discouraged if you guys don't know the numbers or anything. We're giving you from a perspective on our end, but we're just trying to I guess in a way we're trying to figure out how we meet in the middle when it comes to these shows.
I mean, when we talk, you guys are probably like, well, they don't understand. They haven't read books 3, 4, and 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense. You know what I mean? I haven't read any of these Star Wars books. I see them. I see them a lot. But like, I don't know. Something I'm not gonna read the book when I could just watch the show or the movie or whatever.
Yeah. And one thing that I would have liked, especially as somebody who wants to, because I've read some of the books, I haven't read all of them. That wants to be immersed in this lore a little bit more, it would be nice if it could be packaged a little bit more better for the audiences like us, you know, that want to, I guess, a little bit more nuance behind it, I guess.
That you want a good series, not necessarily good Star Wars. You want both if you can, but you'll take the good series over the good Star Wars.
Yeah, I would say so. I love Star Wars, and I think Star Wars has some very what drove me into Star Wars, especially like with the OG stuff, is like the storytelling behind it. You know, obviously the fact that this nobody who comes from a dirt planet that turns out to be a somebody and has to take on a greater challenge, not just the whole empire, but his father, like the overcoming of that, like that is a story in itself that is super powerful, that resonates to multiple generations of Star Wars fans. Now we're getting to a point where Disney has taken those stories, and even like the prequel trilogy, they've been making a comeback furiously. There's a lot of people have been turning around and actually praising those films a lot better these days than when I was growing up, which makes me appreciate like that.
Okay, but are you saying that growing up in a world where you're viewed as completely different, treated differently as such, and then have to go through personal obstacles to overcome trauma from your childhood is not something that's relatable to most people? Because that's a big part of the Acolyte.
But it wasn't given to us that way, unfortunately.
But you can see, I mean, like, read between the lines in that situation, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I guess the best way to put it is that we understood what they were going for, but it wasn't delivered correctly.
Yeah. It was like a very fucked up package.
Yeah.
You know, you ever get
I hear you saying that, but I'm saying...
If anything, I feel insulted because I think the creator read Star Wars, took it at face value, and made this, in my opinion, because I want people to love Star Wars. So, like, people that watch this show and they come to me and be like, this show was ass, it has weird woke messaging, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? Like, why would you guys say that? And then you look at it and you're just like, well, okay, you can kind of see where they get those takeaways. But that goes down to the creator. The creator cares more about the messaging than telling a good Star Wars story. If that makes sense. Because George Lucas, when he made the Star Wars film, I mean, yeah, there's a message behind it, but he wanted to tell a good story. Depending on whether or not you like the story or not is different, but he was determined to try to make a good story. And, you know, some people didn't really like it. I love those OGs and the prequels since the very beginning, but, you know, not a lot of... I want people to be excited and invigorated when they watch a Star Wars show. And unfortunately, The Acolyte did not excite or invigorate. If anything, it infuriated a lot of people for the wrong reasons
and shut them off almost drastically.
You know it's bad. It's bad when Ben Shapiro will be dragging that shit.
the other thing that the series did, at least for me personally, I don't know how Winchie feels about this, but I assume it's something similar. Is like this show was the polarizing factor for me. And like putting myself against the fandom menace, as I call them. Like this was the series that came out, and then I just knew that, like, for the most part, and I kind of always gathered this, but this just kind of confirmed it. Like for like I basically the entire world to see on Twitter and stuff. But like this put me against the fandom for sure. For like the most part, I just realized that the content that they're looking for and they're wanting, and the content that I'm looking for and wanting, are just never gonna line up. And it's a matter of ideologies similar to like this one, like where you guys are like, well, yeah, you may have liked the lore and stuff, but it wasn't a good series. Whereas I'm over here like, well, I don't care so much that, you know, there's plot holes. They annoy me sometimes, but I just want the lore, you know, like there's a similar, you know, like fight in the fandom and stuff like that as well. And I feel like this series so polarized the community that it's very easy to pick a side now as far as the fandom. And like my position now is just I don't fuck with the fandom.
Okay. You think it got too toxic there?
Yep.
I think yes, absolutely.
What I noticed in it, correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of feel like the fandom is split up into factions. You have the OG people that love the OG and the prequels, basically like from the very beginning, and then you have the younger generation that can appreciate the other two, but they say, hey, these movies are kind of old, but they love the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And then you have like the new people, which are the all-inclusive people that I think that's what they're trying to go for, where it's like, LGBT women, all this and that, like those are like all in their own little pocket. So you have like fandom mixed in with like different batches that it just doesn't make everybody happy.
But it was never supposed to make everyone happy. It's Star Wars. It's science fiction.
Yeah, but I remember a time where it was you were either a nerd or you weren't, right? Like you either loved Star Wars or you didn't. And if you didn't, cool. But if you did, you were kind of looked at as a nerd. But that was it. But now you can like Star Wars in its own capacity, I guess, in your own capacity.
Well, yeah, because there's just more stuff in general to compare it side by side to. Like back when it came out, it was pioneering. Now, shit, every other thing you look at somewhere is fucking some degree of science fiction.
Yeah.
So like now there's no more like nerd or no nerd. There's this nerd, that nerd, X nerd, Y nerd, Z nerd, and they may not all like the same things.
Yeah, that's basically it. And so that's where like Star Wars kind of has put itself in a corner where like I think they have the best route to tell stories that will please everybody. But I think that a lot of the times that's what the issue is that the messaging overcomes what should actually be put into pen and paper, which is kind of like the weird part for me, because I think it should be more Star Wars and lore led, so it could make a compelling story, because I've never heard anybody say they read the books and they didn't like it for whatever reason. It was just more like you basically want those stories brought to life, and a lot of the time those stories already have its own tension, and when they try to bring it into obviously TV and all that stuff, it's hard to do that because there's money that needs to be saved. Yeah. There's only so much budget, blah blah blah.
They look for inclusion and things that just should have never had it in the first place.
Exactly. Like some things just don't mix, in my opinion, and I feel like Star Wars trying to dip into everything is just not healthy for it.
Yeah, they're trying to please everybody, and it's not gonna work. Clearly,
you know what? I can agree with you on that. I absolutely I'm aligned with that. I just think that, how do I say this? Like, I don't know how to communicate this properly. It's like you're absolutely right. It's overreaching in a lot of different aspects that I don't think it has to. But I am also okay with having to go through these sort of like content growing pains, I guess, as far as media is concerned.
Oh yeah, as long as you're getting something, it's something.
Yeah, it's like a weird kind of drug fix.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody wants. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, you want more Star Wars stuff, especially when you remember like the kind of drought that we went through. I think back in was it 2013 through like 2016 or something like that?
Before they sold,
or 2014, or yeah, around the selling time. And they canceled the Clone Wars. Like there was like no Star Wars for like a good few years, and you were just like, well, damn, when are they gonna put stuff out? And then the Force Awakens trailer came out, and then you just had the memes of Yoda waking up.
Oh yeah,
it was fucked up. But yeah, so moving on though, we do have, like I said, the last show that was premiered in 2024, Skeleton Crew. This one came from John Watts. He's known for making the Spider-Man films in the MCU. This one had Josh a little bit skeptical. I was very much on the hype train when this show was announced, and then as the show went on, lost me to the point where here we are now. just slowly just kind of sliding by. I did say they did have the lowest viewership compared to the Alkalite. The Skeleton Crew, its viewership dropped down significantly. A lot of people blame it on the Alkalite. Some people are just saying the Disney Plus, what is it called? The Disney Plus abandonment happened, where like people are just getting rid of their subscription because nothing good is coming out there. But nonetheless, Star Wars, it has been struggling this past year in 2024, with the Skeleton Crew being the icing on the cake. We did have a lot of shows and movies that were basically announced, but now have been scrapped. We've had scares that the Lucasfilm boss, Kathleen Kennedy, was going to be stepping out. But she's still going to be around for a little bit longer. Dave Filoni did take the reins back in 2023, which that means 2024. Anything that came out in 2024 is still under whatever Kathleen Kennedy's leadership is. We're going to talk about the future and what maybe is going to come with Dave Filoni kind of being the creative lead. But right now, we do have Skeleton Crew. I kind of just want to fluff it up just a little bit. Nakeda, Winchie, what do you guys think about Skeleton Crew, man?
It was Treasure Planet, but Star Wars. I thought it was a great kids show. I don't know if Star Wars was the best media for it, but it was Treasure Planet, but Star Wars, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Wenchi?
I agree.
I mean, not Wenchi. Nakeda?
I basically have the exact same opinion on it. Like I actually really love the Skeleton Crew. We did an episode on this, and I was very much happy with Skeleton Crew from both a Star Wars lore aspect and from just like a nice little feel good, like childish series. I enjoyed it. Like it hit some old nostalgia spots for me, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely felt the Treasure Planet vibes for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
now that you say it, Treasure
fun.
Planet vibes. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I had fun. I thought it was probably the most visually appealing Disney Plus show we've had in a while, outside of like Andor season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I had fun. It was really cool. I liked that the visual and stuff. John Watts, I think, when he was at the helm of the director's chair in this show, I thought he did pretty well. So I guess he can't just do Spider-Man. So you got to do other shit. But I thought this show was pretty good. I do have like concerns about like Jude Law and his character, but other than that, I mean, I was fucking with the whole like pirates vibe, so it was cool. Seeing all the pirates and stuff, the droid M33, whatever his name was, like that, it was cool. Mm-hmm. I have like almost no complaints outside of like Jude Law.
My thing is that it's just too much of a kid show, and that's why I kind of think it sucks, because it's like, well, I can't come back and revisit this show that often because I can't watch it. I want to show my kids just to see if they enjoy the show or not. But
wait, you have kids?
I do. I
didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, I got 3 of them, and they be into Star Wars as well. I'm teaching them young for sure. Mm-hmm. But this is the way. They like Star Wars, so I don't know if they'll sit for this one, but I'm gonna try it. They sat for the Clone Wars, so I was very proud moment. But yeah, this show was kind of it just didn't hit all cylinders for me. I wish it was a little bit better. I love the little elephant dude. Like I'm so happy they included him. His trunk in so many scenes were like the funniest thing for me. It was an adorable little time. I think it was.
He was my favorite character.
He was your favorite character?
Oh yes, yeah, Neil was the best. Neil was the GOAT.
Yeah, dude.
I like the droid. I like the pirate droid.
Neil and SM-33. Yep. Yeah. SM-33, baby.
When he knocks out Jude Law and he's just like, close enough.
I also liked what was her name? The cyborg KB.
Oh yeah, that droid looking woman chick, the girl.
Yeah, she's a cyborg. She's like Lobot from Cloud City.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, damn, you never really see much of them, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, KB.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a cute little show.
I think that like you're mentioning that, like, it was a little too kiddie.
Yeah.
And so like and like I recognize that from the get-go, but I think that like I think that's okay. I feel like, and this is very off topic, but I feel like kids really don't have a space these days because people like, you know, adults can just invade those spaces at any point in time. Roblox being like the biggest example of this. And I just feel like having a series that is kind of geared towards kids but can still intermingle with like people in our age group, I like that. I genuinely like that as a concept. So like I was very much satisfied with this series on different levels that I haven't gotten from a lot of other Star Wars stuff. This was like a very good-hearted PG/PG-13 kind of thing that I think that a lot of kids these days don't really get in media like that is in live action, and I like that. So from that perspective, that's why this series hits such a good note. Like not just as me as a Star Wars fan, but me as like, you know, my soul as a person. You know,
Yeah.
like I like that.
Yeah, I do believe that this one is because I've seen Star Wars multiple, like everything Star Wars, and I never felt like with this one. This one is a family one. Like this is the one where like you could pop on.
It's
Like
just
if you're
those
like,
vibes.
oh, have you ever seen Star Wars? And they're like, no. You could pop this one on. It's so lighthearted. It's fun. It
Gives
has the
them a vibe.
humor. It just has everything going for it that it's just so family friendly. Like you could just put it on and you know I'm not sure somebody's gonna love it for sure. So that's kind of like my thinking process when I was watching this one. This one didn't really go too much into the lore, so it was nice to not have to go on Twitter and see a lot of people complaining about like, oh, what is yours, blah, blah, blah. I think the most we saw was like, is Jude Law this person, is he this person, or whatever, blah blah blah. So that was nice. It was nice to see a Star Wars show where it looked like it was taken care of visually, was kind of packed together in a way that is good for the whole family, and also was able to kind of, in my opinion, surpass critics and ratings. Like whoever I talked to loved the show, but they would just tell me that it's just too family friendly, or it's too kids, or too much for kids, or whatever, and blah blah blah. Like if they could do something like this and like just make it a little bit more adult, kind of like what the best way that I like to say is like the Clone Wars did it first with Star Wars. They started off as a kids show, and then eventually they kind of tapped in to get more for like the adult audience and kind of meet in the middle. They got to find a good medium where they could do that. Where like I guess the roughest show we've seen is probably like Andor, or maybe like the Alkalite with the kills and stuff like that. And then this has to be like the softest Star Wars show.
And that's gonna lead into what y'all want to talk about later, which is I think that for finding that middle ground, I think that the perfect person to do that is Filoni. Personally, like of all the people who could do it right now that are like on the table, Filoni for sure. Filoni and 5.
You just made Josh make his face.
No. I mean, no, it's not that. I mean, I enjoy Filoni. I thought you had beef with Filoni.
Well, in Filoni, we trust, right? Yeah, no, I don't have beef with Filoni. I'm hoping.
Wait. Before you answer that, Filoni, yes or no? This is one I want to hear before the explanation.
Filoni as like in charge.
Yes,
like,
yes or no?
In charge of Star Wars?
For or against, yeah.
Damn, I don't know. Are we talking in the capacity where he's like Kathleen Kennedy's chair? Or?
Just broad, like general, like don't get too into details.
Okay,
Just in charge of
okay.
Star Wars,
just
yes
in
or
charge
no?
of Star Wars in general? Okay, if he has the power to say yes to certain things and be creative and all that stuff,
Yeah,
I gotta say no.
I would say yeah.
I would say no. I think he needs to be limited. I think he's, I think he's smart. I think he really did his homework with Star Wars and all that stuff. But I do think as somebody, he's like a kid in a toy store when he makes shows sometimes. If he had it his way, he'll greenlight the dumbest Star Wars shit that probably wouldn't have been greenlit. If somebody with like half a brain would have said, no, put that toy down and let's actually think about what's going to make us money. I think he's good creatively when it comes down to like, if you say these are the people that we want to make into a movie, continuity wise, you need to kind of make it work and blah 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 blah. Yes, in that capacity, but I don't think he should have full on power. I think he should have somebody to tell him no.
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
so then Josh White, yes.
well, because I think he does do good. I think he does do good stuff creatively. You know, he knows what he's talking about. Half the time, I think if him, it's because I don't believe in him being a pencil pusher. That's the thing. I don't like him greenlighting and doing those things are the one thing I can't get behind, because then I think that hinders his brain. You know what I mean? Like I think that stops him in himself, because now he has to be careful about what gets greenlit and stuff. So he won't be as creative on those things. But I do think his mind creatively could work, and I guess Favreau by his side executing would probably be a good match.
So maybe a 2-person job.
Yeah. So they at least.
You know what? I hadn't even considered like including Favreau in that. I love him too.
Yeah, I think he did good work with Star Wars. I think I don't know if he'll stick around for Star Wars. I kind of feel like Favreau's like a fan, and when he like wants to do something, he'll do it. But I don't think he wants to like do a full on commitment. But I do think that him and Filoni, if they were to team up and do a contract and say, hey, we can make Star Wars shit together, I think they would be like the deadliest combo to like really knock this shit out the park. 100%. And
they were.
And remove Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, they were, right, with Mando.
Yeah, and then somebody got her greedy little mitts into it and then gave us Mando season 3 and Book of Boba Fett. And yeah.
But now we're back to, no Kathleen involved in the next one, so.
Well, that's to be seen. So that's something that, before we get to the trailer and everything, and kind of talk about the future, we've been having a few things greenlit from Kathleen Kennedy. One thing's for sure, she's not leaving anywhere. She's already made it. Me and Josh has talked about this in a previous episode. She's made it perfectly crystal clear. She's not going anywhere. She's is going to be making movies for years to come. Whether that's Star Wars or not, we don't know. She, for some reason, likes to be super mysterious when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I feel like she knows that she pisses people off, and she's just like, maybe I leave, maybe I don't. Go fuck yourself. And then, so, to kind of offset that, and she kind of knew that, she had to win some fans back.
Yeah.
Back in 2023, the end of 2023, she wound up naming Dave Filoni the chief creative officer. As I said before, 2024's little slate was previous. It was what Kathleen Kennedy said was going to be greenlit, and that's what we're getting. In 2024, 2025, and onwards, well, we have a few things that are greenlit, right? We have Andor Season 2 coming out on April 22nd.
Yeah.
Yes!
We're all excited for, right? I think
peak.
we're all excited for that one. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely.
Very good. We got Tales of the Underworld coming out May 4th.
Okay.
Star Wars Vision Season 3 sometime in 2025. They're
Absolutely excited for that.
Very excited for it.
I didn't really haven't been a huge
He doesn't
fan
like
of it.
anime. So
Yeah.
As a Star Wars anthology, giving different like animators a platform to show their love for Star. I love it. Absolutely,
Yeah, I
every
think
part of
it's
it.
fun.
A big anime weeb here.
Okay.
Fucking love it.
Yeah, exactly how Nikita says it. I'm for that. Unfortunately, I'm not an anime person, so I can't really indulge in that. But it's good to know that it has fans. Jon Favreau's Mandalorian and Grogu movie, May 22nd, 2026.
Mixed feelings about that one.
Well, this is the one where I was kind of having a little bit of mixed feelings as well, because at first it was supposed to be Dave Filoni directing and writing the film, and somebody stepped in, and this is where I was like, good thing somebody stepped in. Somebody stepped in and said, you're not directing. You can write, you be a producer, but Jon Favreau is going to be directing.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to get something amazing when
good.
it comes to that. Like I said, I believe in their teamwork, their duo-ship for sure. Then we have Ahsoka Season 2, which is in development. We know that that's happening for sure. Taika Waititi Star Wars movie, which that one has been rumored to be completely just canceled.
No, I love Taika Waititi's movies.
I can't. I'm not vibing with that one.
Okay. Well,
I want a humorous take on Star Wars, man. No, I want that shit so bad.
go watch the Book of Boba Fett.
No, I want
watch
something
Mando
Taika
season
Waititi
3.
funny. What is it? Do you guys watch Taika Waititi movies?
Yeah, we've seen a couple. Yeah.
What's the one with the kind of fat kid on the countryside? I love that one. I can't think of the name of it.
That kid on the countryside.
Yeah.
Hold
Fucking what's the name of that?
I don't even know.
What's the name?
Hold
I don't
Is
watch
it,
Taika Waititi like that.
The Hunt for Wilder People.
Oh yeah, Hunt for the Wilder People.
Fucking love
Yeah,
that
that
movie.
one,
I'm sorry. I wanted a Taika Waititi. I'm not even gonna front. Like, I don't care how I would have done. I know I would have loved it. I fucking love the fucking. I know you're gonna give me shit for this one, but the fucking Thor movie that he did. Oh my god.
Nah, bro. I can't get behind it.
I'm sorry. I love it.
Yeah, I liked Ragnarok, not Love and Thunder though. Never watched Love and
Both
Thunder.
are in the same category.
I've never seen Love and Thunder, but I'm talking about Ragnarok.
Okay, so Ragnarok is good. If you ever watched Love and Thunder, you'd change your tune real quick.
Okay, well, so knowing I haven't seen that one, just Ragnarok. I love that shit.
Yeah, Ragnarok, that one had me on board, but then you kind of look at it, and you're like, well, it sounds like Marvel kind of did him a solid because even the next movie that came out that he made, that one didn't do too well either. So that's not.
I think it's a one time thing. Like, you do one movie like that and then leave it alone, and just if it's bad, it's bad. But if it's good, you let it stay in a nice light. I would have loved something like that for Star Wars.
That would have been sick for sure. And then we got James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie, which is still in development. That one, I think he did say that he was doing that one first.
Yeah. And then,
I don't know who James Mangold is.
He made
I'm not gonna
Logan.
lie. Oh, and he's doing Dawn of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
we gotta do a movie review with you guys one of these days. We just gotta get you guys into our mind for a second.
Honestly, but yeah, James Mangold, he did Logan. He also did the new Indiana Jones movie.
Haven't
Talk
seen
about
it.
that one.
We don't talk about that.
Stop at Logan.
Yeah. So he's basically making a movie about the first Jedi.
Yeah. And like with the
Yeah, I know the Dawn of the Jedi story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I read the books and the comics. Or the book and the comics.
Very good.
Dave Filoni's Mandoverse New Republic movie. That one is probably canceled too.
Probably.
That one was supposed to be Gina Carano's, I think. That one was supposed to have Gina Carano in it. That was supposed to be like after her X-Wing show.
She was gonna be like a pilot.
Yeah, like a cop in space or whatever. And yeah, no, they got rid of that one real quick after she. Did you hear that apparently Disney's stalling?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
She came out saying that Disney's stalling the lawsuit and everything.
I would imagine so.
She's just like running her pockets. Yeah. That's crazy. Shamin Obey-Chinoy's new Jedi Order movie still in development.
That's the one with Ray.
That's what I'm most excited for.
You're excited for a Shamin Obey-Chinoy new Jedi movie?
I'm excited for a new Jedi Order movie.
I'm excited.
The director. Yeah, I want to see what she does. I want to see the route they go. I want to see if they follow like Legends and do like extra galactic threat, threatens the galaxy at large, or like how they decide to do it. But that's what I'm most excited for. Both like excited and apprehensive, of course, because especially the way you just said the fucking director's name or whatever. But
I'm happy that you want a woman who just makes feminist documentaries to direct a Star Wars movie. That's
I don't know you can't say I want that because I don't know who the fuck she is.
You just happy to get a movie.
You just said that you wanted that from her. She is
No. I said I wanted the movie. I said I was a little like worried by the way you said their name, but like I just want the fucking movie. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, she's apparently Kathleen Kennedy and her have complete strong ties together where a woman with no filmography behind her besides feminist documentaries is going to be able to direct a full-blown Star Wars movie that is supposed to introduce the audiences back to Star Wars. You tell
Well,
me.
I wanna
I'm asking
wanna
you
see
guys
it.
as Star Wars fans. Does that sound like a disastrous route?
A Ray Star Wars movie sounds like a win.
I mean, I don't. So it's such a. It's like a variable that I've never experienced or that hasn't been experienced by the Star Wars community before. Because right now, as it stands in the like the literature timeline, there's nothing post Episode 9. So like this is very very uncharted ground. So I can't answer that question. I really can't. There's no guide for it, like literature wise at the moment.
We're in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I guess.
Very uncharted territory. Yeah. So I can't give you an answer because I don't fucking know. I want to see what they're gonna do and I want to compare it to what they did in Legends. That's all I care about.
Okay, we got a Simon Kingsberg Star Wars trilogy in development. If you don't know who Simon Kingsberg is, he is a producer and also director on the X-Men trilogy, the original X-Men trilogy, and the first class trilogy.
Okay.
Isn't the First Class terrible?
No, First
I
Class
haven't-
was great.
No, First Class is pretty good. Yeah.
Or is it the first ones that are terrible? Which ones fuck up the timeline that people always talk about on Twitter?
Oh, so yeah,
Dark Phoenix?
The Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix
Oh.
and the Egypt
Like,
one,
all
right?
all the X-Men movies don't have great track records. All you really
So-
need to know is that First Class is pretty.
So so this guy's good.
Yeah.
This is
I would
thumbs up
say
from
he's
you
a
guys
mixed
from the
bag.
Film Bros.
I'm
Oh, he's a mixed bag.
he's a mixed bag. Continuity wise,
Both of you say mixed bag?
Yeah, because if you've seen the continuity in the X-Men movies, you know they're not that great, and a lot of characters are recasted or brought back or sometimes
Yeah.
die and just somehow make it into another movie. I don't know if he's gonna take that kind of seriousness when it comes to Star Wars. I'm hoping that somebody's gonna tell him, "Hey, man, you can't do shit like that." So, but then again, we've been getting some crazy Star Wars things come out of Star Wars too.
yeah,
so
he'll literally like in one movie he'll have a character be like the most prominent thing, and then the sequel would be like, oh, he died off screen. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of shit we're dealing with.
yeah, and then also he'll be like, "Oh yeah, they're 20 in this movie. There's like a 30-year time jump in between movies. They're only a year older." I don't know how he does it.
It's weird, bro. It's weird.
It just, you know what? We just roll with the punches when it comes to him. So, like I said, it could have been bad leadership because the X-Men movies were
Under Fox.
but then again, Lucasfilm doesn't have great leadership either. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're dipping into uncharted territory on this side as well, because we're getting new blood into the seat now. It wasn't just before. It was, let's get a hot sci-fi director that can make a Star Wars movie. Now they're like, well, people want new takes. That's, Andor taking off in its first season. A lot of people want to see different takes on the Star Wars universe now, that they're giving Star Wars to these people that are good directors or maybe good producers in different franchises, but do they necessarily fit Star Wars is the question.
Does this go back to what you were saying earlier about, like, too many hands and too many different cookie jars? I know you didn't say that, but I can't remember the exact wording. But like Star Wars overreaching, is you think this is part of that?
This is part of it, yes. I do believe that this is part of the overreaching. This is part of the let's make a movie for everybody, where, like I said, if you look at the Star Wars track record in 2024 off rip, you have 2 animated shows that look the same but with different feels to both of them, and then you also got 2 live action shows that are 2 different feels, and that's kind of like what they're going for. But what the problem is that different leadership of different shows lead to different results. So you have, you have this creator making The Alkalite saying it's the gayest show ever. It drops in viewership like crazy. And because of that one, the next one drops in viewership. But you remember where that happened the first time? Oh, back when Rian Johnson decided to put out The Last Jedi. That did bad. People hated it. Solo wound up tanking because of that fact.
Yeah.
And then right after that, Rise of Skywalker happened, and that, history was made with somehow Palpatine returned.
Oh my fucking god.
In Fortnite, by the way.
In Fortnite, by the way.
Who cares?
But yeah, so I mean, off this, so far, I know it's a lot of information, Nikita and Winchi, but off this list so far, and kind of like what Nikita's kind of getting to my point on all this as well. You see this list of things that they're greenlighting. Do you feel as a Star Wars fan, like you said, you want good Star Wars stuff, like not just necessarily all that extra stuff, you just want Star Wars stuff? Is this scratching that itch, and do you think that this is good for Star Wars?
So my take from top down, what you went, Andor, absolutely, because Andor season 1 was I loved it, and I'm excited to see where they go for season 2. Tales of the Underworld, maybe not as much, not as high priority, but again, it falls into that category of it's Star Wars, so I'm going to consume it, but I may not reconsume it. Visions, absolutely, I agree with the green light, because it's a very appreciative of the fact that it's a Star Wars non-canon anthology that shows off these different, smaller animation studios, giving them their little spotlight, them to showcase their love for Star Wars. Absolutely a fan of that. Green light for sure. I already mentioned that for the Grogu movie. Mixed feelings about that. Definitely don't think it's necessary with the fact that they're getting another season. It was on this list somewhere, right? It's still unknown, but they're probably getting another season most likely, especially if they're doing a movie. I don't think. Yeah.
They scrapped Mando season 4, and they opted for the movie.
Okay, so then it brings it up a little bit, but still don't think it's that necessary. I think that story is I'm tired of the story. They need to change the dynamic somehow. It's just the first 2 seasons were really good. I was okay with the third. But Ahsoka season 2, abso-fucking-lutely. Top again, one of the top of the list. Probably like I would put it. I rank its importance above Andor season 2 as much as I love Andor. So like that. The Taika Waititi. I know the Taika Waititi thing is canceled, but I mean it would also been kind of low on the list. Again, I love the idea of a Taika Waititi one-off comedy kind of take on Star Wars, but not necessary as far as the thing. And then the Dawn of the Jedi thing is definitely the number 3 on the list, with the New Jedi Order thing being a definite honorable mention. I think those 4 things, the Andor season 2, the Ahsoka season 2, the New Jedi Order movie, and the Dawn of the Jedi are definitely the most important things on the list. I don't agree with the green lights, fully agree with the green lights on the other stuff. Oh, Visions. So top 5, Visions is also in that too. The rest of the stuff is kind of like sure. Again, I'm gonna consume it because of Star Wars, but I may not reconsume it. I don't think it's something that like all of the fandom. I guess maybe the fandom wants the Grogu movie because there's just so much love for the Baby Yoda thing. But outside of that, I think the 5 that I list are probably gonna be the most important for being good content, being good content media wise, good content Star Wars wise, and needed for overall advancement of lore and plot for the fans, both new and old.
Okay.
All right. Winchi?
That was a whole lot.
That was. I guess the short way to say it is, are you excited for these projects, and if you believe these projects are kind of doing too much?
I'm excited for them. I mean, there's a few that are maybe doing too much, but I'm excited for most of the stuff that's coming out. I don't really see anything that I'm just like, why are they putting this out at all? There may be questionable choices about, producers or whatever, but I don't really care about producers or who actors and actresses are at all. I really only care about story and plot, and if they can speak the lines well.
Okay.
I'm excited for just about everything. I'm one of those people where, like, unless it's overly bad, like, I think the Acolyte was the only one to rub me the wrong way. But, like, I'll consume everything of Star Wars because I'm open to everything. Like, you're harsh about Obi-Wan. I'm not. Like, that's the way I feel. And I told you, the Acolyte was the only one to rub me the wrong way. That's why he put me off on on the Skeleton Crew.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm excited for everything. The only thing that would shut me off immediately on this list, Taika Waititi. I don't think I could stand him.
Boo. Boo.
Boo you. Boo this man.
Boo.
I don't have any.
Your music is bad and you should feel bad.
I do think that the I don't have an issue with what's coming out. I do think that there's just no focus. There's no focus. I think that they're just throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks. As somebody who loves Star Wars but has been recently put off of it because of the shaky ground that it's been kind of walking on, it's undefendable. Like before, like I said, I used to watch Star Wars, like even the Phantom Menace, bro. I'd go to war for the Phantom Menace. You're not gonna fucking tell me it's too political, bro. Like I'm going to war.
Are you enjoying living through the plot real life right now? I'm sorry.
Too soon, bro. I'm still going through it. No. But I will defend Star Wars. But what happened to Star Wars in the last few years, it's hard for me to defend. Like if somebody tells me to defend the Acolyte, I'm losing the battle. I'm losing it. And it's like, why am I gonna lose that battle? We've been in a bad spot since they said we're not putting Star Wars movies in theaters for a while, because apparently the reception to them was just poor. So they said we're not gonna do that no more.
Poor, but made them $1 billion. They should have just followed the money.
I mean, shit. If you're gonna make shitty stories like that, they're gonna shred the fandom apart.
It's not even like that. It's not even like that. Why can't they keep it pushing? Why can't they pull a Marvel and be like, "Oh, who gives a fuck about the Phantom Menace? Put another one of them bitches out. We learn from our mistakes. We do a better story, whatever, and then boom, another $1 billion."
Because you want to know why? Because they handicapped Solo, bro. You handicapped
them. They handicapped Solo and then immediately went to eat the Skywalker movie. No one likes Solo, well, because of obviously the Last Jedi, but because it didn't have Harrison Ford. It's like how can you do Harrison Ford? He was 70 at that time, so it's like you got to take the good with the bad.
I've seen some de-aging technology, man. I've seen it.
It's not enough, obviously. Obviously, it's not enough.
So I want to touch on a point you mentioned. You mentioned that they have like no direction with all of the stuff that's coming out, and I'm trying to see like what list you're reading that I'm not, because pretty much every show coming out for, I don't know, the next while is either tied into the stuff that's already come out, or tying things together, or season 2s of stories that were actually, well received. So I don't see where you're missing they're lacking direction.
You think we need a Tales of an Underworld series?
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm missing it, but what is so important in the Tales of an Underworld series?
Well, they use those things.
Okay, here.
I know this is a side one, but I'm just gonna start there and then I'm gonna work my way up. Like, what is?
Okay. I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I don't know like what what it seems to be focusing on. So just tell me who it seems to be focusing on first, and then I'll finish answering that question.
I'll come back to that one when we watch the trailer, because I don't even know who it's focusing on. But I will say, we just had a talk about the Tales of an Empire. I mean, if we could praise Tales of a Jedi because it actually had some significance, and you can't praise Tales of an Empire, that kind of shows that, though you want to put out an anthology series that kind of like gives you a broader sense of the character, you need to still put a character that is, you got to be focused on which character you want to put on there, because that's what's going to cause intrigue, right? And
that's why I'm asking, because there's a lot of underworld characters that are very like fan favorite style. So season 2, that's why I wanted to see that.
Ahsoka season 2. I mean, let's be honest. I can argue we didn't need season 1. A season 2.
Why not? No. This is and this is the problem, because this is supposed to tie in with the Mando stuff, right?
The Ahsoka stuff is supposed to tie into the Mando stuff.
because they're gonna be an Heir to the Empire. That movie, everybody's gonna be a part of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Connected. Heir to the Empire. Forgot about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you're saying like there's no direction, I'm like all of these movies are tying into that, and then the shows are continuing the ones that like were received pretty well already. Like I was like, what do you mean there's no direction?
Taika
It's all
Waititi's
leading
Star
up to
Wars
that.
movie?
Okay, what about
Possibly
It
it?
got canceled.
Possibly canceled.
Possibly canceled. But
Yeah,
I'll just say that's. I mean, even if you greenlit it and said canceled, that's kind of directionless because why wouldn't you have had a story ready and then bring in somebody to execute said story?
They were probably
movies get written for like years and they get producers attached to them way before they start doing any of the actual
then-
shooting and stuff.
Even then, you
So,
know
like-
as well as I do that they were probably riding the wave of the MCU, so it wasn't gonna happen. I can't stand Taika Waititi, bro. So you
defending him a little too good.
Either
right
way,
now.
that's one like thing out of the first like I don't know 10 items that maybe has no direction or
that's the thing,
relevance.
Though. Like on his side, on JV's side, it's like a lot of these things probably don't have to exist, but they do exist. So now we have to argue about which ones deserve to be greenlit. I would say a Rey movie does have to be greenlit, but does it have to be directed by someone who only does feminist movies? No.
Well, that's why I said like I don't care about the producers and the actors. Like whatever. There's definitely should be a Ray movie if they're going to try and continue the verse.
Badly. We got 3 of them that were received.
Okay,
but a
she's
post,
still
like episode
she's
9.
she's still the main Jedi character left, right? So if anyone's going to continue the series into the future, it has to be Rey or they have to do a huge time jump.
Yes.
They're going to pick Rey because it's the character that all of the kids and everyone is familiar with. That's literally that's the logic right there.
Well, yeah.
If they want to continue the franchise, they have to make a Rey movie. It doesn't really matter who produces it.
Got a point. I can't argue with that one. But at the end of the day, a divisive character like that was made divisive in the first place kind of shows you how unfocused we are. I mean, you can't go on a hiatus, say we're going to make a Rey Star Wars movie, say we're going to do this in a way where you guys are going to just accept this character again. You haven't shown her in years. If she's the main character in the Skywalker saga or whatever, she should have been around at some point. At any point, at some point, she should have been shown. You can't put her on a hiatus and be like, oh yeah, you were received badly. We'll bring you back out when people kind of move on from that. It's that to me that says, yeah, you're following the money, but you're not necessarily listening to the fandom. You don't necessarily need another.
Why do they need to release
another?
I mean, she's a movie character, right? Like mainly a movie character, and they've been exploring older stuff and things previous, right, to make up for the mistakes that were originally made when Disney bought it. Correct. All of this stuff is like going back and course correcting. We've already established that. We talked about that last time, right?
Yeah.
So they've been course correcting for a while. Now they're at a point where they're like, okay, we've kind of fleshed out the story. We've waited a little bit of time because the trilogies were not released, back to back to back. There was a good amount of time in between each one. So like they've taken that time, they filled it with series, they tried a few things, they found out what works, they're continuing what works, and then boom, at the very end of all the culmination of these shows, new Rey trilogy or new Rey movie or whatever to push the series into the future. I think that's perfectly fine.
The only ones that I can understand a bit sound like I have no direction are the ones that seem like they're tied to almost nothing. So like the Taika Waititi one, or as cool as it sounds, the James Mangold one also, and then the one having two different trilogies, one directed by the dude who did X-Men, and then potentially a Rey trilogy. I think those are the ones that'll get muddled up in
the Rey thing won't be a trilogy. I don't think.
Huh?
Weapon?
No, the Rey thing is going to introduce. The new trilogy is going to be the next generation. The Rey thing is going to be the bridge between those.
Bridge, yep.
Yeah, I mean, we've read rumors or whatever that this movie's gonna basically pass the torch. It's basically gonna be her teaching the next person.
She's gonna
or
bite
whatever.
the dust, teaching the next person.
Probably, well, maybe. And if that's the case, then they knock out two birds with one stone. It is what it is.
I'll never understand your beef with Rey. She ain't do nothing. She saved the galaxy, bro.
She's a shitty character, bro.
She saved the galaxy, bro.
She's a shitty character, bro.
No, she's not.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden she thinks she's a Skywalker.
She is a Skywalker.
All
bro.
of a sudden, you're a Palpatine woman.
She's a Skywalker. Get over it. Get over it.
No,
she's a Skywalker.
And, okay, so the James Mangold movie, right? We said, Nikita, you said like there's some comics and stuff about this already, right?
Yeah, there's one book and a bunch of comics.
So they're taking a well-received story that they've already written and producing a movie with that content or similar content, right?
And Dawn of the Jedi specifically, like the Clone Wars.
I wouldn't complain about James Mangold's movie. I would think more the New Jedi Order, and I would think the Taika Waititi movie is probably a bad one to try to push onto the public. And to be honest, as much as I like Simon Kinberg, I don't think that he should be doing a trilogy either. I think we should have gave that trilogy to Rian Johnson. I think he would have probably made a more cohesive one, or maybe give it to somebody who can make a more cohesive trilogy. His track record doesn't really speak confidence.
Okay, but like again, I'm talking like story-wise, content-wise.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Don't give a fuck about who's
if we
directing.
don't know what, like Dawn of the Jedi, I could tell you right now that's about the first Jedi. That is a movie that I could tell you should be made. But if you're greenlighting a story and saying, okay, we're going to give you guys a trilogy, but you don't even know what the story is about, at that point, that's where my eyes start seeing and saying that you guys are just throwing shit at the wall, hoping that it sticks. So in my
Well, you need the Rey movie first for that, though.
Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean they're throwing shit at the wall? They're making a plan. They're gonna have another trilogy, and now they're doing the setup for it. What's the?
Let me go through this from bottom to top of all the movies that we've talked about that have not made it into fruition. We got Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie.
Fuck him.
All right, we got D.B. Wise's Star Wars movie.
Fuck him.
We got Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy.
I wish.
We got the Rangers of the New Republic TV series.
Scrap because of Gina Carano.
J.D. Dillard's and Matt Owens movie. His Star Wars movie. We got the Lando movie that Childish Gambino is supposed to be working on and writing at this point. It turned from a TV show to a movie, but now it just disappeared altogether. We got a Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling
That one is happening.
Star Wars film that apparently is in the works, but haven't heard anything about either. These movies were all greenlit and now are being passed on. If you notice, Rian Johnson had a trilogy. Now it's given to Simon Kinberg. But why?
Okay, so
why change it? Why
those
change
shows and stuff. No, because those shows and stuff were made under a particular leadership that they were just trying a bunch of things, like I said, and now they've gotten rid of the things that they know are probably not going to do well.
Abrams.
And they've tightened up their focus to push things into the next trilogy, which is going to set up the next generation of kids to be into Star Wars. They have to push out another one to bring in the new generation each every 10 years or whatever, right? Like that's what they're going to do. So they have to move towards the next trilogy. They've cut the stuff that's going to waste money and waste time and waste like viewership enjoyment, right? Especially if they do bad, it's just going to look bad for Star Wars. And so they're saying, okay, we're going to finish up the things that we've already started. The ones that are relevant to the future plot line. That's why they can cancel Acolyte, but they can't really cancel Ahsoka. And then we're just going to push into the new trilogy, get rid of all that shit, get some new people in if we need to, if it looks better for, stakeholders or whatnot. And we're going to move into the future. I feel like this is showing a lot of direction versus the previous non-direction that they had.
I don't even think they lack direction either way. So
I do think that they did and they do like direction. They're getting it into shape now. But that's what I'm saying. You created a mess within a mess, and now it needs to be cleaned up. Right?
And they're cleaning it up.
The movies were a mess. This was a mess, and now you got to clean this up. Like you said, we are tying up some of the loose ends that are happening right now.
Yeah.
But then we're opening old wounds too. I don't think a Rey Skywalker movie is needed. I think that's something that is. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have her front and center. She can be secondary. She doesn't need to be the first person.
Why not?
Okay, but do you want another Luke, or do you want a single movie where the torch gets passed on? They got to do something to put the character to rest, like they did with the original ones, right? They got to kill them off or retire them somehow. Do you want her to be an integral part of the next trilogy and then die off in a really stupid way? Or would you rather a singular movie that wraps up that loose end real quick and then move on to the next thing?
I say time jump and look back at her as a hero. Tell us about the heroic things. Don't show us.
Why couldn't the movie be that? Because it says New Jedi Order, so maybe it is like that.
They said she's a part of it. Daisy Ridley announced her.
Pretty sure
Yeah,
she'll
but you
end
could
up
see.
being like
What if-
Yoda.
But you
what
have
if
to be a
it's
part of it if it
flashbacks?
flashbacks to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be a part of it if it flashbacks to you.
They wouldn't make her a star for flashbacks. That would have been
Okay.
a cameo save for
She'd
a
be like-
reveal.
Like,
They
remember
did that in
Grand
Ahsoka,
Master
didn't they?
Skywalker and cut to Rey. Like that would be.
Yeah, if they what do you call it? That's completely that I believe they would have went about that in a completely different way. They wouldn't have just announced her if they were just. I do think it's gonna be a passing of the torch kind of movie, but I don't think
It could be an in medias res type thing too.
probably it could be. But like I said, Dave Filoni does have the reins now. Okay, he's basically in charge. You did ask me if I trust in Filoni. At the capacity that he's in, he's now, like I said, since 2024, it sounds like things are getting cleaned up. Not everything has been completely cleaned up, but things are getting cleaned up. He seems like he is now the creative chief officer. He's been the creative chief officer since 2024. He's doing the shows and movies from here on out. Kennedy is still the person who greenlights and says that these are the movies that we're gonna make it, whatever. But Dave Filoni is in charge of continuity, what direction the movies are gonna go in. Basically, the filming part. Are you guys on board with Dave Filoni being the guy to create your next generation of Star Wars?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
I see why not.
I think he's learned from his mistakes. And I think not necessarily being on the floor, but getting to make some overarching decisions is going to be good for the content that gets put out.
Exactly.
Negata?
I'm all for Filoni, especially if he has like Favreau kind of like with him in the beginning too. I think both of them like I saw D&D at the bottom of that list for future projects. I think that one got canceled, but like I'll take F and F over D&D.
Okay.
I guess that's fair. I have no complaints. I think either win or fail. He's obviously going to be the guy, but I hope there's more winning than failing.
Okay. So, before we get into this trailer, does the future of Star Wars look brighter? At least from the perspective of what we are getting in the coming years. I know I'm not as hyped as you guys are when it comes down to this list, but I guess the best way to put it, and we can start with Winchy, where do you think they could take Star Wars? And kind of like I was saying before, where can that middle ground be where Star Wars fans, old, new, big, wide, doesn't matter, where can we all meet in the center, and what can Disney do to kind of bring us all there?
I have hope that this Mandoverse tie-in movie is gonna do that. Gonna bring the people in, like the Ahsoka fans that loved some of the lore and love seeing some of the older characters come back, and see some of the cool underlying plot lines there. The people who came in because they loved Mando and Grogu that maybe didn't necessarily like season 3. I did, of course, but I know not everyone did, and so those fans, they'll tie into the Ahsoka stuff. I'm hoping that everybody kind of gets the fan service they need, and then we'll have like the little tie-ins from whatever the other little spin-offs and characters were, like
The
Book of Boba Fett and
Tales?
stuff.
Oh, okay. Like the little spin-offs.
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you think is a good middle ground for Star Wars fans?
I mean, we have to reboot, the series in the near future.
Ooh, reboot.
That's
like,
what the next trilogy is. It's literally it's passing the torch down. Like, that is, each of the trilogies is essentially a reboot of the series.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay, never mind. I thought you meant like a full-on reboot. I was like, oh, damn, that was
Start from the beginning.
I didn't even want to ask that question, but since you brought it up, I think
No. Yeah, it's literally, hey, we've done the other. It'll probably, maybe it'll be another Skywalker. Who knows? And then the last Skywalker name will be dumb. But I think they need to do a very tight story for the next trilogy. It's got to have, got to have a cute droid. It's got to have cute animals and whatnot. And I don't think they should be like too concerned about the political correctness of anything. Just like cast good people into it, right?
That's a good way to put it.
If a person's good for a role, just cast them. It doesn't matter what they look like or sound like or what gender. Just cast good characters for the roles, and then have a story that flows for 3 movies that doesn't confuse people like these ones did. I think they just need to nail that next trilogy to really keep the franchise going in the future. And we're getting past the point where all of the Legends content kind of existed, so you're gonna have less complaints about like, oh, my Luke Skywalker stuff, blah blah blah, because past what happens to Luke and others in Legends really is almost non-existent. So there's less to complain about and more new territory to cover.
Okay.
So I think they have a good chance to really bring Star Wars back to like the levels of excitement that people had for it before the hype.
Okay, I like that answer. I like that. That's actually well put. But real quick too, reboot. Would you be all in
start from Luke Skywalker all over again?
Would you want to see a rebooted Star Wars universe?
No.
No.
Please, no. We've already had one. Please.
Okay.
All right, then.
And that wasn't even a full reboot. And no, please no.
No Phantom Menace all over again. No revealing that Anakin is Darth Vader for the next generation.
If you can reveal to me that Jar Jar was the Phantom Menace all along, maybe, but that's the only condition.
Okay. Nikita, what about you, man? What do you think? What do you think about Star Wars in the future? How do you think we can all meet in the middle when it comes down to Star Wars? I know that we all have our different opinions, but I mean, what do you think you would do to bring everybody in the middle, and maybe what Disney can do?
Tell everyone to shut the fuck up and just consume the Star Wars.
That'd be the easy way.
I mean, like again, this comes from my position on it, because I'm a lore whore, so
yeah,
like just give me that and I'm good. Like I would love a great fantastic series, but like I care more about lore than any that, so much so that it overshadows a lot of that stuff. I think like the best middle ground that you could probably try to reach is like, I don't know, the same type of stuff that's come with like Andor. Like grab a certain aspect of Star Wars that hasn't been explored so much, such as like, the intricacies of bureaucracy and the empire and the hidden misogyny and xenophobia. Grab that, take a nice little story that's well written and plot driven, and also thrilling for the viewers to watch. Like, do something like that. That's the best middle ground. I think that like really the best bridge that this series has right now between old fans and new fans is stuff like Andor and Ahsoka. Like, and I think those two are I think that like for the 2025 to maybe like 27, I think that though the release of those two things will be integral for how Star Wars pivots towards the future. Of course, like the the new Jedi Order with like the race stuff will be the punt that comes from the pivot, and
Yeah.
it's you're only gonna hope that the ball goes between the goalposts. So
You had me with some of those, but I do think that they need to stay away from some of that like misogynistic messaging and stuff like that. I do think that that's what kind of starts.
that's okay. I meant like specifically with Andor. I just like the little hints of it. Like, I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
saying that they should pick that
Yeah,
kind
with
of stuff
Vera
and
or
like
whatever.
do it
Yeah.
every time. Yeah, but like
okay.
that little part of Andor, that's something because like in the Legends timeline, you always hear about like how the Empire is like misogynistic and xenophobic. Like, if you're not a male human, then fuck you. Basically, I like the little splash of that Andor has is what I'm saying. Like, I want some of these smaller little nuanced things from within Star Wars, not necessarily things that relate to what may be real world things, right? Like, I want the nuances from Star Wars. I don't give a fuck about how it relates to the real world.
Okay. All right. You want to be completely immersed in their universe. You don't want to
Yes,
feel.
I don't want
our
to think about
universe.
real life shit.
Okay.
It's cool that like you can see the real life shit of like for example in Andor, Cyril getting bitched at by his mother. Like, haha, that's a funny moment, but like don't hone in on it. Like,
Yeah.
a little splash of it. I don't want to think about the real world though. I want to be in the fucking fantasy universe where people throw shit with their mind and blow up fucking planets.
And I think that's why Andor has been so popular because it's not about a Jedi with force powers doing cool stuff or a guy in crazy armor. It's just some people with some blasters trying to fight against a big empire, trying to have freedom and not be oppressed.
That's why I think Mandalorian kind of appealed to a lot of people too. I felt like it was away from all that stuff, and that's why that kind of appealed. It just was blasters, trying to do the right thing, and just like a good old Star Wars adventure. Yeah, but I do think that the Mandalorian, it was like I feel like that was kind of like the appeal after Rise of Skywalker and everything, giving people that hiatus and kind of reintroducing them back with like a blaster show with kind of grounded, but also it within the Star Wars universe. It felt refreshing, and I feel like Andor kind of did that for a lot of people too.
Yep, I think the release of Andor is going to be very like telling for what's to come. If they do a good job with it, I think it's a good sign. I think if they fumble the like the bag that they've set themselves up to have with how good I thought Andor was, like, I don't know. If they fumble that, then they'll fumble anything. So I won't have
And
much hope after that.
they everybody knows the end game of Andor. Like we know what happens to Andor, so they don't have to worry about like telling, necessarily not necessarily like news, but they don't have to worry about the future. They can just worry about let's tell a good story within this time period about this character that everyone knows eventually is going to die. Let's make him as cool as possible to see how it gets to that point, right? It's easier to make this story good than brand new stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Josh a couple episodes back. I think I literally had said like Star Wars, like they are on their A game when you know that character's gonna die because they killed them already, and they basically are giving you like backstory. Like that character usually gets propped up 100 times better when Star Wars does that. I mean, you did it with Darth Vader, you did it with Obi-Wan, you did it with all these characters. So I feel like they're like on their like best game when they have to do something like that. So maybe just give us movies where you kill all these characters off and then eventually just come back around and just tell us about their life.
That could be something. A little dark for sure, but something. I don't know.
So the Rey movie.
Sure, man.
I mean,
No.
she died in the eyes of the public, but not in the movie.
No, not to me.
I don't know. Kill her off in that, and then you can reminisce on it. And yeah. the trilogy if you
come
want
back.
to.
No, we're good off here already. I think
That's messed up.
Where do you think the middle ground is, Josh?
Middle ground, good stories, and I mean, just do it with Star Wars characters. That can't be too hard, right? Or I mean, I guess it kind of is, but like that's where I would put it. Like, would I like to see Darth Vader, you know, in his astral form, like on Mustafar, like getting his backstory and stuff? Of course. But I would want it translated good story-wise and acting-wise, and you know the music hit and all that stuff. So when we see him think about Padme, it actually hits and it doesn't feel like, you know, forced or anything like that. Like I just need them to take the characters and stories that we know, adapt them well enough for series, and you know the rest will come in later, like the money and all that extra stuff. That's like the best way to put it.
Okay. I agree. I think story is what matters the most when it comes down to these. Like like I said earlier, like the core thing about Star Wars is the story. People love the story of Star Wars. It's just what draws people in. There's a dime a dozen sci-fi. Like you could get sci-fi anywhere. You can get knockoff sci-fi. You could get a knockoff Star Wars. You could watch Star Trek if you want to.
Damn.
You got Rebel Moon now. Like, there's so much sci-fi out there. You could watch whatever you want. What makes Star Wars, like, so precious was that struggle between an oppressed person, system, whatever, versus this giant corporation, whether it was the Empire, whether, you know, they were up against the wall against you know, stormtroopers, whatever it may be. Star Wars has always been about like the little guy prevailing, and though we want grander stories than that, it can be told, but just in the same way that Mando was kind of told, the Skeleton Crew is now being told, not necessarily looking at what the bigger picture lies later on, but focusing on the story, on what they're trying to provide right now. Because what I've noticed with Star Wars is that when they try to do the little cameo fest and bring people and try to, you know, expand it to different shows and spin-offs and all that, that's when a lot of the times these movies and shows struggle.
Damn, man. It's kind of a lot. No,
That was profound, though.
kind of heavy, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's middle ground for Star Wars somewhere. So between the fandom menace and those casual watchers, I'm sure there's something.
I just don't want it to be a cameo fest. That's it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the MCU is getting to that route, and I don't want Star Wars to get to that route, where like all you got is like nostalgia. Like, come look at these older characters.
Here's Yoda.
Yeah.
But as a puppet. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this trailer here. I wanna jump into this one so we can get our thoughts on this and see where this is going, and then we'll start wrapping it up because, well, you know, we've been keeping you guys for a while now. Let me make sure that you guys can see or hear our screen too. Let us know if you guys can't hear it, but we're gonna jump into the trailer already. Nikita, Winchie? Yeah.
Listening.
Okay. Cool.
Just do as I say. Never can be too cautious with strangers out here. Then again, you're no stranger. Lady Ventress.
We got a problem here. Just saw him right in.
What's the situation?
Cad Bane and Ventress.
Yeah, Cad Bane, Ventress. It's gonna be mostly about them, it seems like, and I mean the animation's great, bro. I love the animation in this show, bro. It looks too good. I was seeing online. Well, first things first, we're gonna see little Cad Bane as a baby, probably. That's good to know. I never thought I wanted to see that in Star Wars, but that's interesting. I kind of wanted to see Cad Bane versus Boba Fett, like when they were younger more than that. But you know,
Go back to the very beginning when Cad Bane was first coming in. Yeah, here. Who said just saw him ride in? Play that sound clip because that kind of sounds like Boba Fett's voice. If Boba Fett is going to be in this, that was him thing.
We got a problem here. Just saw him right in.
No.
It's more like Cobb Vanth-y, yeah.
I was about to say that sounded like Cobb. Was that Cobb?
It could be, honestly.
Kind of reminded me of Cobb. Interesting.
But then Cobb didn't really seem to recognize. Well, like he kind of recognized Cad in Mando.
Cad Bane origin story.
Yeah, we're getting
Before he gets those stupid pipes in his neck.
I hope we see. I hope they give us the reason for canon why he has the pipes, right?
I'm pretty sure. I think he said it was because he got in a fight where like he almost lost his life because he couldn't breathe.
Something like
and
that.
so he put those in there so if he's ever shot into space or something, like he would survive and shit. But
I would have liked to have seen the unfinished arc between him and Boba Fett, but you know, where you get shot in the head and the plate is there for whatever reason.
That was my little hint. That's what I was dropping at. I was
No,
hoping
man,
we were
I don't
gonna
think
see
that's gonna
something like
happen.
that.
I don't think so.
I would have been nice to see him and Boba Fett go at it the first time.
It could be something.
I don't know if you guys seen that little deleted Clone Wars episode with Boba Fett and Cad Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, like that would have been cool to animate and wound up showing. One thing that a lot of people are kind of scratching their head about, and I kind of seen on Twitter and whatnot, this character right here, was that him? Let me see. The one with the blue lightsaber. That apparently that some people are speculating that he might be Jude Law's character in Skeleton Crew.
Oh. Wait, really?
Honestly, that's possible and would be a cool tie-in. He does kind of somewhat resemble him
Let me see if
younger.
Does he?
That he might be Jude Law's character.
No way.
Look at that sword, though. That's a sword. Like, that's actually a light sword. It's not a lightsaber.
And I think in the show he did say that he wasn't like trained to be a Jedi or anything like that too. So I don't know. That I thought that was kind of interesting. And if they kind of did that, and so they could tie in Skeleton Crew with something like this and kind of make them a bigger name throughout Star Wars, I'm kind of down for that too. More Jude Law in my Star Wars, I'd be down.
I don't know. After the character, after
well,
the performance he gave in
because
Skeleton Crew, I don't know.
Skeleton Crew is supposed to tie in with the Mandoverse stuff too. So I mean,
I wonder if
we
we're going
may
to see
some of those. Yeah.
That's why Vane was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
It looks good though. I mean, this is what happened with the Empire too. It looked good. The animation looked crisp and clean.
Yeah, but at least I care about these characters.
Ventress.
It looks like Ventress is helping, runaway Jedi or apprentices or Padawans. I mean here.
Yeah, but she
like,
didn't want to train Omega.
Yeah, I think she was a.
But Omega wasn't a runaway Padawan. Omega was just a Force sensitive, right? This kid, if she's a bounty hunter, she might have either been sent on a bounty after him or, like sent to protect him because we saw the Inquisitors in there.
I don't think that.
So he's clearly being hunted.
I don't think she's gonna be a bounty hunter. I think she's gonna be what they were saying.
It literally said 2 bounty hunters in big bold letters in the trailer.
I know, but
she was a bounty hunter.
I don't think she's gonna be a bounty hunter. I think she's gonna be doing what
She was a bounty hunter before she got the lightsaber.
Listen to what I'm saying. I don't think she's gonna be a bounty hunter. I think that she's gonna be what they were kind of hinting at in Obi-Wan, where like she's gonna be smuggling.
JP, it said 2 bounty hunters.
But she could be doing it for the money too, and that's where they're gonna be like, well, she's not doing it for the good of people. She's helping these Jedi because the Jedi are paying her for whatever reason.
You can be a good bounty
hunter. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that she lost that title when she got this lightsaber.
Oh
no!
Yes, She's just a force wielder now. She's not a bounty hunter anymore. She stopped being a bounty hunter when she picked up.
You can. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay, but they are. No, like I think they are.
She's a bounty hunter that uses a lightsaber. What is your holdup with that?
Aura Singh was also a bounty hunter that could use a lightsaber.
Who?
Aura Singh?
Aura Singh? The bald bitch that had the one ponytail.
But she never used a lightsaber.
But she could. She was a former Padawan.
She didn't.
Yeah,
because
in the book she did.
Once you leave, it's gone. You don't get to.
That okay? All right, you're just trying to piss us off on purpose now.
No, I'm not, bro. I'm being for real.
And also, Ventress wasn't a Jedi anyway.
Ahsoka, a Force user. Yeah, she's a Force user. They're lightsaber wielders. But she I think once you start using a lightsaber, you're no longer like a bounty hunter. She was a bounty hunter, and then she
why?
turned to a leaf.
Explain why.
So Mando's no longer a bounty hunter because he used the saber.
Bro doesn't do bounties anymore. He's too busy saving his race
and his children.
He a fodder now.
He got responsibilities.
But he's still a bounty hunter.
He's still a bounty hunter if he ain't do no bounty hunting.
Yeah, he hadn't done no bounty hunting in a while.
Okay, you're not at work right now, but you're still the position you hold at your job.
What?
Look, man, if I don't
go to my job if a lawyer doesn't take a case for 2 years, is he no longer a lawyer? No.
I mean, I think people's lawyers, their paperwork expires. So yeah, eventually you stop becoming what you are.
They're like titles and stuff. They're titles and stuff. Yeah. You're no longer a beat cop.
You're a member of the club.
Because you move up and change ranks and do stuff.
Yeah. But, okay, so you're making the correlation that because she uses a lightsaber, she cannot be a bounty hunter.
Exactly. Because she turned over a new leaf. She's saving people here.
Well, there's no bounty hunters with lightsabers, so, I mean, I think the argument is sound.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like,
but I've not seen a bounty hunter with a lightsaber. But
because you haven't seen it doesn't mean they exist.
Bosk uses a blaster. Boba uses a blaster. These people use blasters and stuff and grappling hooks. They're little cheap.
That doesn't mean they can't use a lightsaber.
They can't.
You know what? And it's crazy because the Mandalorians could just build a lightsaber if they wanted to, but they opted for a dark saber, something that's completely different from the Jedi.
The dude was a Jedi, though.
Like, because he was a Jedi, he was no longer Mandalorian? No, he was both. Like, he didn't pick up the lightsaber and suddenly stop being a Mandalorian. Just like if you're a bounty hunter, you pick up a lightsaber, you don't suddenly stop being a bounty hunter.
That's a little different, though.
No, it is. It's
okay. So if you're a Jedi and then you choose to be a bounty hunter, are you still a Jedi?
No, because you don't.
No, because that yes, but like, what about picking up a lightsaber means that you can't follow the bounty hunter code if you're not picking up the Jedi code?
It's the same.
Asajj is not a Jedi.
Bounty hunter. She's just a lightsaber wielder, Force user, like Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
That is also a bounty hunter.
So she just does she doesn't want the bounty hunter title. She does bounties to survive and eat and shit like that. But she just does shit just to survive. She's not necessarily.
It would still be both. She would, if you asked her, she would still say she's a bounty hunter. She doesn't want to be Dooku's assassin anymore, and she's not. She's a bounty hunter.
She used to be a bounty hunter, but now it looks like she's training Jedis and stuff. She's essentially Ahsoka.
So I have a question. When the series comes out and it's confirmed that she's a bounty hunter, will you record an apology episode for us?
You can suck on my left nut. No, but I don't.
You mad?
Do that. I don't think they're gonna do that.
It said two bounty hunters.
Because a bounty hunter and Force user, lightsaber user is too long. Like,
I gotta see where it's
okay. So they're able to shorten it. That means it still applies.
No, they're just gonna do that because the last time we heard of Ventress, no one watched Bad Batch, was that she was a bounty hunter and on the run.
Was she a bounty hunter in Bad Batch too?
No. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she was. I think
she was.
She was literally the bounty hunter contact for what's her face from Book of Boba Fett.
It does say two bounty hunters.
Yeah, but she's not a bounty hunter.
What if
she is a bounty hunter?
What if they're talking about Cad Bane's character and the one he's shooting? What if those are the two bounty hunters?
You know they're not.
I think it's just like you're playing too much.
Yeah, you know it's a joke. No, but I don't know, because she does have the yellow lightsaber, and then I'm trying to remember because I haven't seen the Bad Batch season 3 in a while. But why did she show up there? She showed up there to see if. What'd she show up there
Because
for?
They called
who's the
contact. She
bounty
knew how to
hunter?
get to the planet to save Omega.
Yeah, who's the bounty hunter from Book of Boba Fett? The girl that's with him. I just forget her name.
Oh, you're talking about fucking what's it with
Sniper
the
lady.
helmet? Yeah.
Oh, the what do you call it? Ning Mong Wen's character. Nima Weng's
Yes.
character. Yeah.
Her. She said, "I
Fennec.
have a
Fennec
con."
Fennec Shan.
Yeah,
Fennec
Fennec
Shand,
Shan.
yeah.
Fennec contacted Ventress. She said, "I have a contact like in the guild or whatever, who may know
knows
more
where she's at.
information." Yeah. So that's when Ventress showed up. So like literally, it was her bounty hunter contact. So she's a bounty hunter.
I don't.
Get shit on.
I don't think.
know, man.
I don't think a bounty hunter would help out like that though.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my! Now it's I don't think. Yeah, but we know
I
she's
don't
a
know.
bounty hunter.
That one. I mean, I'm not. I'm just throwing a
Mhm,
sock in the wrench
mhm,
there.
mhm.
But I'm for if she's a bounty hunter or not a bounty hunter. I really don't care. I personally think that she's probably gonna be helping smuggle Jedi's through like and stop the Inquisitors from killing
Her
them.
and Quinlan Voss or whatever his name
Yeah,
was.
Quinlan Voss. That's his name.
Now I will agree on a point you made earlier, where like I definitely don't think that this series is necessary. Like I don't think there's I'm not saying because I love Cad Bane and I also like Ventress's character, but like I don't need this. I want it.
You don't need it, but like I was gonna say earlier, this is a full circle moment. You don't need it, but because it's two characters you actually care about, you gonna watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't need it, but I want
about
it.
Morgan or the chick that tried to fucking kill Ahsoka. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying.
Varys?
Yeah, her. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, okay, so they're doing it about characters that people actually care about. So good on them, right? That seems like a positive, not a negative.
No, I'm comparing the two. I'm saying that this one seems a lot more my interest because I care about these two characters way more than I care about the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other two didn't. I didn't give a shit about them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see that, but
Like Cad Bane has aura, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
he do for no reason. He just like he walks out the ship like aura farming for no reason, just like
Him and his
Still the
toothpick
only
and his
person
cowboy
that we
hat.
know of. He's still the only person that we know of to talk back to Palpatine and live to tell the tale.
that is true.
He's like, when he show up, I'll be quiet. But when he turns back, I'll talk again.
That's how it be. Yeah. So no theories. This is just a show that
It's gonna be
Star
fun.
Wars put together, and you're just meant to
gonna be
just
fun.
watch it.
Yeah.
You don't think it's gonna progress the Star Wars needle in any way?
Maybe. I mean,
I think
we get
it-
something.
I think it moves like maybe Asajj's needle a bit, so you can kind of guess like maybe more about like the Bad Batch season 3, like more tie into that, or more tie into the story that they set up in Dark Disciple with Quinlan Voss. But like, I don't think it's gonna move. I don't think it's gonna be anything like tantamount to the Star Wars continuity timeline.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember watching the Tales of a Jedi, and seeing Ahsoka go from training with the clones and then to them jumping to her like fighting for her life,
Yeah.
and knowing like this whole time like
She was trained for that.
She was trained for that. That hit in a special sweet spot for me that hasn't been hit before, or like hasn't been hit again. Same thing with like Count Dooku's arc too. Like that's kind of like the arc that like that just kind of hits different.
Seeing Qui-Gon again too, it's like it hits.
Yeah, but like Tales of the Empire, that one didn't get remotely near that mark at all whatsoever.
It was like, yeah, that was cool.
And I kind of feel like this one's not going to do that either.
You're not a
Yeah, I
believer.
think I mentioned earlier there's a lot of characters that they could do in the underground. I mean, two characters that immediately come to mind are Boba Fett. You can correct some of your mistakes with Book of Boba Fett and give him a better story, right? You can do some intro for the potential Lando movie. Do some Lando stuff.
Oh,
You
true.
could do
Yeah.
some solo stuff.
Yeah.
Add some extra context to Han. You could do some Maul stuff because we never got the like
Crimson Dawn stuff.
He
The
ended
full
he ended up
Crimson
running
Dawn
the
story.
spice.
Yeah, well, that's why the Crimson Dawn stuff. Like, I would have liked to have known his story, like what kind of led him to Solo and shit like that. I mean, we kind of got the hint
I mean-
of that in season 7, but a little bit more.
And you get a little bit of it in the Star Wars Outlaws video game, which also is coincidentally about the underground.
I haven't played
There's
that one
some
yet.
Crimson Dawn and Kira content in there. But yeah, like there are other characters that they could have focused on. I don't dislike that they're doing these, but like there were definitely ones that would bring more, if they did it well, that kind of those kind of moments that you're talking about with some other characters.
Yeah. So we're excited. We're excited. I mean, not our bread and
Very
butter, but we
excited.
We're gonna check it out for sure, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then obviously with whatever's coming out this year,
Andor,
Ahsoka, Andor.
Visions.
I know I'm looking forward to Andor. That's something that like we went from 5 seasons to 3 seasons down to 2 seasons. So I mean, I'm assuming this season's gonna be a big bang. Completely hyped for it. Don't have any complaints. I think Andor season 1 was knocked out of the park. I think if anybody should be a chief creative person, I think Tony Gilroy should probably be the one. But that's just my opinion.
Stop it there.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think you did good. I wish we would have gotten more seasons of Andor, but I know people suck. So, what is what it is.
People suck. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for the future of Star Wars. That's the best way to put it.
Nikita, Winchie, you guys excited for the future of Star Wars?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I think it's, especially again from my perspective as a lore whore, I think that you mentioned earlier, like you asked, is the Star Wars future looking brighter? I think it's always looked bright because there's just so many possibilities you can go about. There's gonna be some stumbles, there's gonna be some fumbles, but all Star Wars is acceptable in my eyes to some degree. So I'm excited.
Yeah, but there's some stuff that you're gonna remember and just put to the back of the line for sure. You're gonna be like,
and I'm okay with that.
I don't think anybody's rushing to go see that Star Wars holiday special.
Not anymore, but
There is somebody who probably still plays it every single Christmas.
I watch it every year. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Every Christmas.
on repeat. But yeah, man. With that, I mean, we're basically done here. We've covered all the bases. I for one am excited for the future of Star Wars. I think that we have so much to uncover. Do I feel like we've been going through this rocky patch? Yeah, man. Like badly.
Yeah.
Way too bad. I don't think that we should be, as Star Wars fans, should be feeling this type of way. I don't think Star Wars should be that hard to create, but yet here we are. Some things, as much as we can disagree with certain things, we can all agree there is at least one Star Wars project that Disney put out that you could just be like, no way.
For sure.
for sure.
Yeah, so Disney's still at the helm. Kathleen Kennedy, there's no change up there, but Dave Filoni has the seat now. He is the chief now. 2025 and on will be everything Dave Filoni. I can't say that this is Kathleen Kennedy anymore. So now that that John Watts' Skeleton Crew has came out, this is all Dave Filoni. So now we are judging his creativity from here on out. Hopefully by next year we'll be able to have a few shows to talk about and see where this direction. Hopefully it's a better direction and we have less friction. I know that, you know, as Star Wars fans and Star Wars fans on different sides of the coin, we all have our disagreements, but we're all Star Wars fans nonetheless. And yeah, we thank you guys. Thank you, Nikita.
Yeah.
Thank you, Winchie, for coming through. Anything you guys want to plug in before you guys head on out?
Even though you guys' takes typically remind me of Jordan Peele movies, because every time I hear them, I'm just like, nope, get out. But I do appreciate you guys having us on your show. I like the banter between us. It's nice to get to talk about Star Wars and kind of fuck around a bit and fuck with you guys. You guys fuck with us. It's a fun environment. So we appreciate you guys inviting us on. This is the second time.
Third.
This will be our fourth.
Third, yeah.
Last year
This fourth?
Last year we did 3
Yeah,
episodes
because we did
together.
the 3-part.
Yeah, 3 parts.
Oh right, I forgot. You know what? I forgot we had split it up the way we did. But yeah, no. So this has definitely been great. So I appreciate you guys having us back. I don't know how you put up with us assholes, but we love you assholes.
It's fun.
Yeah, all love around here. We got nothing but love for you. That's why we wanted. We're planning to make this a yearly thing, at least to be able to talk about Star Wars. Like I said, this episode is gonna be dropping May 4th, so this is gonna be like our Star Wars episode. We love to hear all sides because, like we said before, like I said, we do like the film side and like the behind the scenes and everything, and we love just hearing the takes of like pure Star Wars fans, like the ones that are just not tainted by the outside noise and like don't care about like actors and all that stuff. We just want good Star Wars projects. You know what I'm saying? Winchy, anything you got to say? Good banter.
Fun
times?
Yeah, good banter, good arguments. You said we have good conversation at the start, and I think we have good arguments. But no, yeah, thank you guys for having us on here. We always enjoy coming on once a year, and we're excited for the future of Star Wars. We'll be excited to argue with you about the upcoming stuff next year.
That's good. Stay on your toes.
I stay ready to fight.
That's good. You're gonna need it. No.
About Star Wars. Okay. Not physical.
I can't wait for that Mando and Grogu movie because that's when I feel like
that's where it's gonna be.
That's where I feel like the most conversation's gonna come out of Winchy for
That's
sure.
where it's gonna be.
I'm excited. But yeah, man, thank you guys once again. Thank you guys for your time. We will be contacting you guys when this episode's going to be dropping and all that great stuff. And we will talk to you guys later.
All right, peace out, Girl Scouts. Thanks for having us.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
no problem.
GG's. We'll holla at you guys. All right. With that being said, though, let us know what shows you guys loved about Star Wars, what you guys hated. Are we on the money when as Star Wars fans, are we on the money on what could bring us down together?
Yeah.
Not down together, but bring us together.
Yeah.
And
like,
bring us up.
like in the middle.
And uplift us.
Exactly.
As Star Wars fans, and also as people that look at everything in all aspects, we are skeptically optimistic.
For sure. I would say I'm a little bit more excited, but yeah,
I've been kind of done in the dirt, but
it's okay.
hopefully we could turn that around.
Yeah,
but with
yeah.
that being said, any topics that we should be talking about, any movies you want us to review, any TV shows you want us to review, anything. Oh wait, 1, 2, 3. Start from the top. 1, 2, 3. Any topics we should be talking about that we haven't, any movies you want us to review, TV shows you want to hear your voice on one of these episodes one of these days. Josh, go ahead and let them know where they could do it.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. Post our episodes up. You can hit us up there for any news and movies you want us to cover. Let's put out links to social I just gave you. It's like a Patreon. Subscribe. You have a show code. Really appreciate it. Listen to us anywhere you podcast at FilmBros Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Music, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast. And you can be part of the conversation. Twitch at FilmBros Podcast. And again, be sure to go check out the Force Unscripted. They have their own podcast and stuff. I know we didn't give them a chance to elevate their platform, but please go check them out. They're good friends of the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, always shout out to the FilmBros. 1, 2, 3. Always shout out to the Force Unscripted Podcast. All love. Check them out. Make sure you show them love, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.